goodness. Did they hear you? No, let me turn you on too. Okay, there we go. And we're good.
Hello? Are we here?
So,
Check 1, 2?
hello, and hello, and greeting fellow adventurers of Vera. Welcome to the Golden Feather Tavern. We are Vertek and Chibi, keepers of this fine establishment. Today, the tavern has opened its doors and set its tables to welcome some fantastic and fun-loving guild masters of the Ashes of Creation community. So, pull up a chair, grab a nice tankard of ale, mead, hot chocolate, or any other delicious beverage of choice, and join us in today's discussion. Today is the 29th of June, 2024, and this is TGFTavern's Guild Summit number 001, the second of its kind, the first of its class, and certainly not the last.
Part 1.
Yeah, part 1. Yeah, the morning session edition.
Morning summit, if you will.
Yeah, a morning summit.
A better summit.
So, Chibi, if you could you please let us know what we have on tap today?
Yes. So today we will be going over. We'll have the morning session with these 7 guilds that you see on screen with us. We have different guild masters within the Ashes of Creation community, and it will be divided into 2 sections with a 10-minute breakout in the middle. During the first section, the top 3 questions that were chosen from the poll from the guild masters themselves will be answered. There was about 14 total questions posed by all 7 of them. And each GM that brought their own question will present their chosen question for the rest of the group to answer. Once they present their question, other GMs will then take some time to give their opinions or facts on the matter. You may also notice that we have a channel point redeem called Submit a Question here on Twitch. And people are going about the wrong word of a tank. You know, just saying.
Oh my.
This is where you, the viewers, can become a part of today's topics, and you can just, for 10 plumes or channel points, you can submit a question like this. Hello, I am a question. And for those of you that are possibly watching us live on other platforms, please feel free to put a Q in front of your question, and I will grab them. Click that redeem, add your question. We'll include it on a poll, and the poll will be sent out later in the stream, and you can decide which viewer question you guys would like to hear the most from the guild masters for their answers. The discussion of viewer questions will start at the number 1 rated and work our way down the list as each discussion is exhausted. This will continue for about 20 minutes before we move on to our next segment, which is either a 10-minute break or the ending of the stream. You can change your vote at any time before this deeper discussion begins, so please don't be shy. Vote early, vote often. After that, we will take a 10-minute break to stretch our legs, refill our waters, and this will occur approximately around 1:40 Eastern. The latter half of this Guild Summit will repeat the same process as the first half, but GM submitted questions will be actually from the evening group instead of the morning group. You can catch later tonight the evening group answering their own questions first, and then morning questions later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. The link to that one is in the description of the YouTube video that will be going out live as soon as this is done. Please note, due to time constraints, we may not be interacting as much verbally, but we will be interacting in chat, me especially. So please do feel free to engage with us, but understand that our responses may be mostly text. We want to be respectful of everyone's time and voice by not talking over each other or interrupting anybody. That was a lot.
Yeah, it was. So get all that fun stuff out there. Let everybody know all the things.
Yes.
So, now that we've introduced ourselves in the event, let's meet our guests. Please tell everyone joining us who you are, the guild you represent, its main focus or goals, and the desired total member count. You can either use numbers or general terms of small, 0 to 50, medium 51 to 150, large 150 to 300, or absolutely enormous, more than 300. Black Talon Trading Company, can you please start us off? And then the rest of you follow in alphabetical order by name of your guild.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kash, and I am one of the co-GMs of the Black Talon Trading Company. We are an RP PVX guild For the LoreForge community that surrounds our LoreForge content creation team for Ashes, I'm co-GMing with my two closest friends, Jibs and Sunny. We are aiming for the maximum guild capacity of 300, so that would make us large. And we've run several guilds in the past, and we feel very comfortable in that realm. However, the roleplay aspect is new to us, so we're really looking forward to diving into the new dimension of gameplay.
Nice.
Hello, everyone. I am Bergund Ironguard. I am the GM of the Iron Coin. We are an all-cleric primary class mandatory guild, group of mercenaries, really, with purpose. We will be including dwarves and orcs of the various types on both of those races, and our purposes are detailed and exciting. The guild size that we're looking for, if 50 is the minimum and 300 is the max, I would say we are aiming towards the small to medium sized range. But anything is possible and the future is bright. So thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you.
Hello, my name is DA. I am leader of Enveus. We are a PVX guild. That is pretty much our focus, is pretty much everything that Ashes has to offer when it comes to just tackling the highest end of content. Our guild size is aiming to be on the larger end so that we can essentially have the numbers to tackle different, open world content as well as instance content on multiple fronts. And we are really excited to get into the world of Ashes. We have played a lot of, testing that we can talk about with some of the people in here, and we had a wonderful time. And I'm excited for everybody else to get their hands on some of the fun that's coming up.
I am Cersei Kimura with the Gilded House Roleplay. We're a PVX heavy storytelling and content creation community. We've been around for just over 2 years now. We have an active ongoing guild storyline. We're role players, and we do monthly content creation in the form of original music composition, lore videos, guild lore videos. We're really excited for Ashes, not just for roleplay, but for the content that really is going to bring so many people together. So we're just excited to be here.
Good day, all. My name is Anduin Kayvon, and I am the Guild Master of the Grey Sentinels. The Grey Sentinels have existed since just before the Kickstarter for Ashes creation, and grown to be one of the largest and most organized PVX RP guilds in the community. Our founding principles are equality amongst all members, an emphasis on building an online family instead of just another content guild for members to use, and finally, being competitive yet fun. The lore of our guild is about a once strong noble order who had fallen into shambles as it existed on Sanctus. The noble order is now reforming under the descendant of the original founder from many millennia ago, bringing in people from all sorts of backgrounds, from soldiers to storytellers, merchants to explorers, and everything else in between. We seek to bring peace on Vera through any means necessary while reclaiming our ancestral homeland. We will hit launch as a large guild of 200 to 250 members, and it will involve ourselves in all content. So shout our battle cry and ride out as Sentinels today, righteous in wrath.
Nice. I like it.
Jamie Chaos. I co-lead the Chaos and Lace Cartel with Annie Lace. We've run several different guilds over like the last 20 years of our MMO experience. We used to co-lead a raiding guild in World of Warcraft and several other games that we played in. Our current guild started in Alpha 1, so there's a lot of sleeping members currently. But I think the guild has around 40 different members that are planning to get into Alpha 2 with us. For guild size, we're really going to look at what the optimal build is for when we're looking at perks versus size. And we've also tossed around having different chapters and sister guilds, maybe moving the cartel under a single alliance with multiple underneath that. Our focus is mainly going to be on the PVX side. That's one of those questions where everyone always asks me, and I'm like, well, everything. Like, we want to play Ashes in all aspects of that. So we're looking for crafters. We're looking for people who just want to do PvE, PvP. Hopefully those people are going to be cross-trained. There's several different guild guild leaders that are in our guild who ran previous guilds but don't really want that responsibility anymore. So there's a pretty good leadership already built into that, and we're looking at kind of being more of like a council build, so that way there's a lot of buy-in for that, so that way you feel like you've got a sense of ownership, especially once you get to those top leadership roles. And I think I touched on it.
Yes.
All right, I'm the Des Revas of the Revas Order. We are a guild family that's been around for going on 13 years. We're also the only Elven guild that we know of anyway. We are RP PVX. We're always involved in whatever community we're in. And we're aiming to have between 240 and 300 maximum members, split between 4 guilds.
Very nice, very nice. And we would like to know, what do you need from Ashes to help you as a guild master? Starting from the top again.
This is Kash from Blacktown Trading. I think one of the biggest things, and I kind of gush about this all the time, is I truly believe that a good, solid, editable guild calendar is definitely needed. And that just helps to keep everything all in one spot, all within the UI of the game, to be able to plan events and whatnot. I just think that through my years of having guilds and being part of guilds and taking place in a lot of different events that guilds will put on, especially roleplay guilds, a calendar is probably at the very top of my list. And if you've listened to our show before, then you hear me lamenting and ranting about it.
Yeah, I kind of second that. The guild calendar is probably one of the very important things. I've wanted that in so many games in the past, and a lot of the tools that Intrepid has spoke on, kind of working on already in the back end, or they have in mind, has just turned out to be phenomenal. One of the tools that they mentioned is the ability to, if you have their mobile app installed, you can send alerts to your guild members. I mean, that's huge for 3 a.m. world bosses, and I'm excited for. That's one of the gameplay that kind of excites me. Just in old MMOs, using the bat phone, making everybody sign up for a free Google Voice number so you don't get their numbers, and you make a list and you call everybody at 4 a.m. and you're waking them up and you're rushing to that world boss. And I'm excited for that type of gameplay, and I'm glad that Intrepid is giving us the tools to kind of help manage that and make that a little bit easier on us.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Bergund. You can go next.
All right. Yeah. So this Bergund of the Iron Coin. I think one thing that will keep my guild going, and I believe this is probably universal for everyone here. Ashes of Creation is a unique experience already, and it's due to the ongoing and continued efforts done by the Ashes of Creation team. If they can keep that up for years to come, I would say that's all I need from them. They're doing an incredible job now, but it's nice and shiny right now. If they can extend that into the future for years and years to come, my guild will feel very, very successful.
Cersei?
Yeah, I think what's been said so far, I'm 100% on board. I think a calendar would be awesome. Being able to roll out regular content. One thing that I know they've talked about is in-game voice, which I think will be very important, especially with content, because as I've experienced in games like New World, Discord, and when you're trying to get your group together in like content war or what have you in New World, it was very difficult, especially when you've got multiple groups going. So it'd be nice to have an in-game comm system that really took things a step beyond. So we're not trying to hunt through different voice ops and trying to coordinate with different groups when we're actually going into a node war, guild war, and we have different sections of squadrons and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so a few things, I got a list here of basically what some of my officers have brought up over the years is various guild tools like calendars, complex rosters, bank tools, metrics to see activity and involvement, recruitment quality of life editions where you can post a recruitment ad in the game and people can see it, event boards where members can post various things they are looking for, as well as a place for people to view upcoming player hosted events like tournaments, races, festivals, and more. I'd also like to see the ability to make guild transmogs that your members can use to make them more uniform if they so choose. Plenty of cosmetic options that truly make different guilds stand out from one another. An announcement command that will alert every member in your guild when the GM or an officer makes an announcement. For members, like text that goes across the screen or a notification in a box or something. A mass guild mail function to reach different members all at once. And finally, a way to give members a checklist or like guild quest log, if you will, for them about materials or objectives that the guild might need or call for. I really do think that last one is really important and would help with the immersion, because like, yeah, it's one thing to have like your dailies, but it's another thing, like, let's say your guild needs a lot of iron to like outfit, your upcoming siege. It'd be nice to be able to be like, when someone logs on and they click like the daily guild log, they could be like, oh, we need to collect this stuff, so I'll go do that for like 10 minutes and then, go on to whatever else I was doing. I think stuff like that would help, so then you don't need to have guild leads and officers micromanaging all of your members.
Fair.
I like hearing all the in-game systems, but for me, one of the most important would be some type of either Discord integration or some type of outside messaging integration with some type of WebSocket, so that way offline members can communicate with online members. I think that's one of those bigger gaps where it's like, hey, what's going on? I can't get to you now. I've got to jump to over here. I got to get this. Maybe I've got their number on there. So some way to communicate with, even if there's some type of SMS tie-in with that too, where you can sign up and say, hey, I'm going to be able to get pings from my guild leader. Kind of even filtering out who you want those messages from. But something where I can communicate with someone to find out, hey, we're about to start doing this thing. Where are you? And they're like, oh man, I'm at the doctor's office doing this. I'll be on in 30 minutes once I'm out of here. I think that's one of the biggest things for me. I think a lot of the in-game systems, I've seen a lot of them where they're okay, but I honestly feel like you kind of end up using a lot of outside systems to begin with. So like having the calendar, I think is a really good idea. But like I can work with that, but having something where I can communicate with someone instantly, that's like the most important thing for me.
And all of these ideas are exactly what I would have said too. If the only thing I can really add is if there is a voice system to have different channels and that can be keyed to buttons to hit different groups.
Yeah. I want to say real quick that you guys may have noticed we have a little bit of a heavy roleplay group here, but I think we'll have some interesting conversations. And thank you for submitting your questions. I'm sorry that there is a cooldown at the moment, but we are working to fix that. And some people in chat are wondering if we can shrink down the images a little bit so that we can see who is talking when, for those of us that have images.
That's what I'm working on right now, actually.
Perfect. So thank you for your patience. Please just wait for the cooldown to finish and submit your questions. I'm sorry that you're getting cooldown locked, but there are a lot of questions coming in. I'm seeing them I'm very excited for how much are coming in. So thank you for that. We will go ahead and turn it over to Kash for the first official question from the GM list of questions.
So the question that I proposed is absolutely in relation to guild leadership. And that question is, what do you feel is the largest challenge a guild leadership team will face with regards to running a guild in Ash as a creation? This one was pretty important to me, just having a bit of experience in running guilds and kind of seeing what the back end of it looks like. Sometimes you feel like you're playing guild leader online for the most part, and I'm sure that's probably going to be the same thing for all of us. But for me, I think the largest challenge is going to be really trying to balance our members' personal goals with the guild's goals. We are going for the larger guild, so and I think a lot of larger guilds, even a lot of smaller guilds, are going to have many, many different goals when it comes to the guild and it comes to each individual member. So our guild goal overall is going to be to have a really good amount of immersion and still be able to manage a successful node. And I think this is going to take the effort of the entire guild, regardless, since we're PBX, regardless of whatever each individual member's gameplay loop is and what their focus is. So in regards to like guild wars and node conflicts, it's going to be an all hands on deck type of thing. And being able to get our PvPers and
Kash, there's an ad break right now.
It's okay. Just keep going,
Okay.
please.
Thank you. Being able to get our PvEers and PvPers and crafters, gatherers, and traders to really all gel as one unit is going to take a lot of leadership. It's going to take a lot of coordination. And I think for the most part, one of the largest things it's going to take is buy-in from all members, because there's going to be practice sessions. There's going to be different things that you're going to have to do in order to gel. And as we all were able to witness in the Node Conflicts showcase, there is going to be a place for everybody, regardless of what your gameplay focus happens to be personally. There is a place for everybody to take part in node wars and in protection and progression of your node. So again, I think my biggest point, my biggest thing that I think we're going to face as a challenge is just balancing personal goals with the guild's goals.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's really important to hear everyone's perspective on this. Hopefully today we'll get some information that is insightful, but also this evening's Summit Guild members. So I think there's going to be a lot of different challenges that guilds will face, and it really depends a lot on the size of the guild, but I'll be speaking on a number of different universals that I think will be shared amongst them, but distinctly in larger guilds, especially those that are in the thousands. DA, you have my sympathy, my man. You're going to have a huge challenge being faced with organizing all of those numbers and spreading them out into a point where there's a level of organization that is cohesive and feels achievable in your goals. As a leader of a smaller guild, boy, I'm going to have to work with others, and I think that's going to be a really interesting and challenging thing to do in a game like Ashes of Creation. It is such a dynamic system, or systems that are all integrated into each other, and so smaller guilds will struggle to integrate with the larger community to achieve their goals. Given the lack of depth of their roles and limited range of content, we're going to have to rely on many others and build that trust, and that is a challenge to do, I think, in real life, but also in gaming. Relationship strains as a result of players losing their hard-earned in-game equipment. All of these examples of, I think any guild being challenged, any guild will be challenged by loss in Ashes of Creation. Nodes will fall, and things will change dynamically, and so to integrate that into your own experience, that's why the Iron Coin's objectives are more experience-based instead of materialistic, which I'm really excited to get into. Constant friction and drama between guild members and other nodes, that's going to be a hard time as well. So yeah, those are the challenges that I think I see guild leaders facing.
Yeah, I think the biggest things that it'll come down to in Ashes of Creation, one, just like balancing diverse play styles. Having the challenge for guild members that will have likely different interests. The organization that you said earlier as well is one of the biggest things. I understand why they have it the way they do, because as your numbers grow, that organization becomes a challenge, and it's also a little bit of a deterrent for just amassing numbers just for the sake of power. I think the organization of those numbers, as well as how the guild system is built up, when Intrepid talked about having different positions within the guild that get different bonuses. I think, the distribution of how, what member gets what, who's the right fit for the flank team or the infantry team, those things are going to, I think, cause a lot of interesting politics within guilds, both large and small. And so I'm excited to see what kind of how that plays out. The other biggest challenge, I think, will just be keeping people avoiding burnout and keeping people interested throughout the days, because not every, like you said, there are going to be losses. Everybody's going to take a loss in Ashes Creation, be it running their caravan, getting ganked in the open world. And I think another challenge is just going to be galvanizing your members, making them, or getting them used to the idea that this is a more open world, semi loot drop game for on death. So you have to get getting those members used to the fact that, like, hey, I'm going to die, I'm going to lose things, and don't quit over that. Don't let that ruin your time. Is also going to be a challenge, just to keep members active and healthy within the game.
Yeah, I think kind of just piggybacking off of what has already been said, there's a lot of challenges that different communities will face, and it will depend on their size and their focus and everything. But I think one of the things that, and I think Kash kind of leaned into this, is managing expectations as a leader for your community is going to be very important. I mean, even before we get to a game, I've seen both sides that I've seen communities, making these big promises of, we're going to be server first this, we're going to do this. And then I've seen the other half of it where communities kind of downplay what they're trying to do. And you kind of have to be in the middle there. You have to manage your expectations for what you're going to achieve. So for Gilded House, we're about a medium-sized community currently, and we might get to large size at some point, but based on our size, do I expect us to be able to do everything on our own? Absolutely not. We're going to have to work with others. We're going to have to, join an alliance project or do things like that to kind of get into some of those competitive groups, what have you. But by managing the expectations and kind of talking with my community, we're able to establish, okay, we're going to maybe not go for a node or a castle on our own, but we can be friends with, let's Grey Sentinels. Let's be friends with the Black Talon Trade Company. Let's work with those guilds and kind of put our heads together and see what we can achieve. Because by managing those expectations as a group, we're not going to let our team down and let our group down thinking we're going to achieve something on our own when we're going to need to work with others. So managing expectations is really going to be important for all communities.
Yeah, I agree with everybody. I wrote down a list just to make sure the ADHD stays in check. So guild leadership in Ashes will be difficult because it is about balancing, like Kash said. So, it's all about making sure that people are able to participate in all aspects of the game, but they also have to have a strong and organized guild to back them. As Steven said, the game is not built for solo play. The game is built for group play. And how do you have group play? Through those guilds, So I think that's a huge thing. And then as a guild, you're going to need to prioritize the goals and needs while also understanding the very strengths and weaknesses of your own guild. You might be a very strong PvP guild, but you might have to rely on other guilds to farm the resources or craft the gear for you. I think that as a guild leader, it's very important to understand that maybe your guild sucks at this, and to try to make those alliances, those friendships that really bolster up those weaknesses you have. And then also, I think it's important, almost paramount, to find officers and support staff that can focus on the various different systems in the game at the same time. Because if you're a PVX guild, you're going to have to be PvPing, PvEing, doing economics, politicking with everyone you interact with all the time. And as a guild leader, if you do that, I mean, it's ashes of guild leading then for you. You know, you're not going to be able to actually enjoy the game, and you're going to burn out. I think every single guild leader in here can agree with the worst thing for a guild leader is burnout. That's when your guild dies. So, you know, I think for me personally, the issue will be balancing my own game time with the organizational needs of my guild. One of the hardest aspects of being a guild leader is being able to play the game you're organizing for, as the job of a guild leader is not easy, nor is it sunshine and rainbows. So with all of this, you have a complex patchwork of various needs of guild members, officer duties, and finally the whole point of playing the game, which is to actually have fun in it. So, you know, as a guild leader, that's what you have to deal with. So
I think one of the biggest things when I'm thinking about it is what within Ashes, because information is going to be so sensitive, and that's probably going to be the downfall of a lot of different guilds, is building that loyalty and knowing what you're going to do for your players in your community to build that up. I think that's something that may get overlooked quite a bit. Is that, I mean, I'm sure there are people building out spy networks right now. I know I do. So it's how do you surround yourself by people you know are loyal? How do you find those people? And how do you make sure that I would say your inner circle is a bit more protected and guarded, because spies are definitely going to be a thing. And that's, I think, especially when you've got the PVX and stuff like that. Yeah, of course I admitted to spying. You're going to have a lot of those different things. So I think that adds a completely different level of dynamic to the game, because it's not just trying to appease everyone on their own specific level and also trying to have that fun, but it's also like, how do you protect your guild? Because I think that's going to be one of the biggest things when it comes to guild leaders is, what are you doing to safeguard your information? Make sure that the people in your inner circle are not ones, because you could be, it doesn't matter if it's been 7 years, if someone's got a really nice shiny toy over there that you don't provide them, or there's certain things that you're not controlling within yours where they're like, you know what, that other guild's looking real nice. And I would say Annie and I were really good at that. There was a private server that we were in, and we came in and we found a way to aggressively recruit and pull a lot of people away. So it's something to think about as a guild leader. What are you going to do to protect yourself from espionage, from spies, from that information leak? And I think, because I do hear a lot too, like, you don't want to have a lot of that stuff on your shoulders, but how do you make sure that your council that you are dealing with is also not going to be trying to stab you in the back? So I think for me, those are some of the things that I think about a lot, especially as someone who's going to be streaming and having a lot of things that are out in the open, is the additional challenge of how I'm going to safeguard that information.
I think for us, it's going to be a lot of the community building, what's around where we are and how we interact with everyone in our community and the greater community outside, and being able to organize our members in the different facets of the game to help that all flourish, giving everyone a chance to shine. Definitely worrying about the information secrecy thing as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. Before we go on to the next question, just a reminder, please try to use the question redeem. I am only doing it manually for a few people because they're having struggles. You can find it in the redeems in the chat below. For those of you on other platforms, please put a Q before your question so that I can grab them. But the next question we have is from DA of Enveus.
Right. So the question I propose to everybody is, how do you prepare your guild for major game updates or changes in the meta, and how do you ensure smooth transitions?
And what is your answer?
Sorry.
For your...
I guess my yeah. Sorry. So for us, one of the things is just we really look at the information and the changes coming. If there needs to be kind of like a class structure change, we reach out to see who is available for that class structure. We do a lot of information polling as far as like our website back in on who's willing to play other classes, so that it's a lot easier to kind of change those class and roster changes based on the meta. But the other thing is just having a clear understanding that your class is not always going to be the best for every situation, and that there are going to be times that you're going to have to respect, that you're going to have to change things up, because that's just the nature of these MMOs. And if not, you're just going to get left behind, and that's just it's not efficient for us.
All right, Kash.
So I love this question because this is the struggle, right? With MMOs, with things constantly changing. We're always talking about balance, and balance is one of the hardest things, if not one of the most unachievable things in MMOs, as we know. So I think one of the probably one of the biggest things that we are going to really look into is having class leads. And having those class leads have the responsibility of keeping tabs with some of the latest meta builds and trying not to pay too much attention to those dreaded meta lists that are always out there for every MMO, because they don't necessarily mean that those classes are going to be the strongest and best classes, because your class will play, for the most part, based off of your skill and understanding of what those skills are. So with class leads, I think we'll be able to just have people internally that can really keep close tabs on those, and then turn around and not just help other skilled players, but help some of our newer players who may be either new to the class or might be new to MMOs, period, so that we kind of have that full echelon of being able to help people understand their class, not necessarily based on their skill, but based on the needs of the guild. If we need more clerics, or say we need more juggernauts, that's for you, Jamie. If we need some more of a certain class, to be able to have people, to have some go-tos who are really paying attention to what the current meta is. And that's not just for PvE, that's for PvP as well. And I think at least if they have some go-to people to come and ask some of those initial questions about gearing and skills and what they should have on their bar and what rotations should be, I think it'll probably be good for the entire guild as a whole.
I like that. Bergund?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question to answer, because, you know, being a guild of all clerics, it could, you know, be a really interesting time to have any changes to the cleric take place. And so what I think makes it impervious or very important for us to consider is that clerics are the only class that will be able to heal other classes in the game. There will be a lot of self-healing going on, and that's coming from the wiki. And so considering that as a baseline for clerics in the game, and understanding that secondary archetypes are necessary for class versatility and diversity, the opportunity for us to consider how things change for the clerics is really our focus. And so if let's say the heals have to take a little bit more time, you know, there's gonna be minimal changes and some possibly some major ones. However, I think the base function of what the cleric is going to provide for the game and the system that is combat and different, whether it's PvP or PvE, I would say that the opportunity for the Iron Coin to prepare ourselves for any kind of changes, we are more focused on just our own vision and our own purpose. There's lots that the game will provide players, and because of our specialization, I think I have designed the Iron Coin to be able to take the punches, essentially, and to roll with the punches, rather, so that if there were some changes that needed to be addressed, the transitions would naturally be smooth, because our purpose and our intention, being an all-cleric primary class guild, is to be able to survive those bumpy roads. So I appreciate the question, and I think it's a really valuable one to consider moving forward throughout the years as Ashes launches.
Okay, awesome. Cersei?
Yeah, it is a great question. You know, I kind of, similar to kind of Kash said, we in Gilded House, we have leaders, we have mentors and junior officers who work kind of to support the different branches in our community. So as there are updates with the game, those mentors and junior officers are going to play a large role in kind of guiding our membership, be it with PvE, PvP, or crafting and commerce, because with the meta, that's also going to affect the economy that we play in the game as well. And as the game gets updated and the classes and new builds are added to the game in Alpha 2, we're going to have a great testing ground for how the game will change. Because I imagine with all the testing we're going to do in Alpha 2, there's going to be a lot of diversifying in the classes. What we first play in Alpha 2 is probably not how things are going to be midway through Alpha 2 or at the end of Alpha 2 or at launch. So we'll have a lot of testing ground to be, okay, this is the changes we're dealing with now. Here's how we shift, our goals or our priorities for the game. But yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Gilded Houses. Alpha 2 is going to be the testing ground to determine, are our plans for how we're going to be able to adjust to the changes in the game going to work out. And Alpha 2 will be kind of like that little bit more forgivable testing ground before launch. And once we get to launch, it's like, okay, we've made these plans, we've tested out how we're going to react to this, and we got to kind of put it into the action then. So that's kind of where we are.
Nice.
Okay, I'm going to use some of my time to talk about an issue that I see in the chat right now. It's the idea, and devs, if you're watching, you need to listen. Change the name of Tank. We all want it to change. It needs to change. It is about balancing and updates. If I need to say that my tank, who is not a tank, but he's actually a DPS, is doing DPS, it's going to confuse people. So callouts get hard. It's like, focus that tank. And it's actually their cleric, which is tanky. We need to make those changes. Anyway, back to the question, though. Just need to say that. I need to speak for all my people in the chat. Okay. So, how do we prepare the guild for major updates and changes? Honestly, I think the big thing is not focusing on meta so much, keeping your guild fluid. If you're hammering your guild to always be in the meta, always being in what's the best of the best, the issue that it goes into is that your guild will get burnt out over time. It turns the game from being fun into a game where it's a job. If you always have to mash your numbers, mash the calculator to get the perfect stats all the time, let's just look at, I don't know, any game that makes you get every single update you have to unlock a whole new set of armor because they changed the stats. People get burnt out on that. It takes the fun out of it. So let's make sure, at least in my own guild, that we're approaching builds that are successful, that are not completely complex to get, and make it so people can actually have fun in the game. It's that competitive yet fun in Grey Sentinels that we want to approach. Because if we're constantly focused about being the best of the best and being the meta, all you're going to do is burn out your members, and odds are your members who like to have fun and like to be there, they're going to leave, and then all you're going to have is your meta hounds in the guild, and they're not fun people. They're very boring number orientated people. So I want some memers in my guild, but there you go.
Jamie.
I got Phantom trying to crack me up while I'm doing that. So I think there's a couple different ways. I feel like there is a bit of an advantage of being a content creator and over analyzing metas to begin with. So I feel like I'm in a good spot to even look at that, just in the nature of the way content creation is. But there's that aside, there's two ways to look at metas, and so I'll break this up into two parts. I'll try to be quick with this. There's two ways to break this up. So you have meta builds that are based off of, this is broken, this is busted, is going to be patched out within the next patch. Trying to find a way to make sure that your guild is not leading into those, that's a good idea. And then you've got things where, like, there will be certain things that are optimal, and then there's things that are suboptimal, and it's trying to figure out the balance between, yes, you kind of want to pick these things up because it's going to be fun, but also you don't want to be at a point where you're going to handicap yourself where, like, man, this build is absolute trash. I know it's trash, and trying to people just keep away from that as well. And then the question comes up is meta for what? And I think that's something you need to think about too, is, am I looking at a meta for nodes? Am I looking at node sieges? Am I looking at a meta for guild versus guild? Am I looking at a meta for node wars? Because all of these things are going to have different builds, and you need to make sure that you're prepared to also try to gear people. You're going to have most likely have different gear sets and need people to feel. I think the idea of it being more fluid was mentioned. Like, you need to kind of instill that into people where you want them to feel comfortable abandoning a certain build that they might have, but also not feeling pigeonholed into a specific meta. So I think Kash had mentioned this of having class leaders. That's something that I want to do as well in my guild. I want to make sure that I've got in the industry I work with, SMEs. So someone who is a subject matter expert in this thing, where they can look at this and say, okay, show me your build. What are you running with? This might not be as optimal. And also knowing people's play styles. I think that is another thing too, is getting really close with your guild and trying to understand, like, what are you good at and how can we optimize based off your available things, rather than also just following a written meta by a YouTuber play the game for 2 minutes.
I'm gonna have
That
to
is
agree with
something,
Kachi and Jamie there for sure. We are definitely gonna have class trainers as well, especially since we come from a hardcore raiding background. Testing new ideas and like going through crazy builds is in our blood. We're definitely gonna. We are going to have players that are going to be trying as many things as they can for just making it fun or just crazy, interesting ways to use the skills. That's what I got.
Fair enough.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. So Bergund, you have our next question.
All right. Yes, this is Bergund of the Iron Coin, and I am curious. How does your guild plan to specialize or diversify your members' artisan profession choices, considering the limited resources and space for harvesting, processing, and crafting locations?
And then your answer?
Yes, and so we actually are planning on having somewhat of a soft request for specialization in regards to the Iron Coin, but these are not mandatory requirements. I would say the idea, though, is that we are going to be the Iron Coin and that we will be working with metallurgy across the board. And so players in the Iron Coin, there's a soft requirement to specialize in some way with one of your professions to work to those ends. That is, again, not a requirement. We're going to need food. We're going to need animals. We're going to need various different other things. But we are essentially planning to specialize and consider the terrain that we will be playing in. So hopefully an iron heavy resourced environment, and using that to harvest iron, and so mining and all the way to jewel cutting and weaponsmithing, armor crafting. So really having that focused around metallurgy to accomplish our goals.
Okay, very nice. Kash?
I absolutely love the role play aspect there, which you guys are just going to be working with metal. I think that's super cool. So for our guild, for Black Talon Trading, we are broken up into basically 3 branches, and those branches are going to be PvE focus, a PvP focus, and then the third branch being Sunny's branch. He's running a branch called Capital, and they are basically going to be traders, resource gatherers, politicians, and such. So I think we're going to be able to, hopefully, the plan is to be able to allow people just to play what they want to play when it comes to artisanship. And I think if we get a little bit later on down the line and we start to see that the guild is having a particular need in any one aspect of artisanship or resource gathering, then we might make some requests out there for people to make some changes on a volunteer basis. But at the same time, we also don't want to quash anybody's chosen gameplay loop. I mean, we all of us are thinking about what we want to do for our artisan classes and what we want to grandmaster and what we don't want to, you know, really what we want to focus on. And we don't really want to change too much of that. We want people to have fun with what they're doing and not be forced into anything. So again, we'll let people choose what they want to choose and play what they want to play. And when those needs of the guild start to manifest, then we would probably ask people to do so on a volunteer basis.
Very nice. Yeah.
Our approach and how we see it kind of with Ashes of Creation is a little bit more like an Eve-like approach. And for us, the biggest things are one, everybody has to be a crafter. This is a PvX game. You cannot get away with just being I only fight dungeon bosses, I only fight monsters, I only PvP. Everybody has to do something, whether it's crafting, gathering, or processing. There are going to be special roles within or different artisan classes that we might single out for as either maybe running a guild alt for that one or having specific people in certain roles. One of them being like processing roles that need freeholds, for example. As we all know, freeholds are limited. And one of the things you don't really want to have is investing a lot of time or resources into a freehold for somebody to inevitably leave, or they quit the game and you're kind of left out to hanging out and dry for that. So we're really going to kind of see like what are the important chokeholds and making sure that the right people are in position for those different for like crafting and processing gaps. And we're going to basically ensure that we have everything covered with a wide range and variety of people. So you're not relying on the one guy who does weaponsmithing, the one guy who does herbalism, things like that. So making sure that there are multiple people in multiple roles, making sure that everybody's doing crafting, making sure that you have the right people in position for different chokeholds for processing and things like that are going to be the big key ones for us. From there, what kind of like Kash said, seeing what the guild's needs are and kind of pivoting towards that. We try to make it to where if you're willing to volunteer, if it's we welcome people to step up, but if not, then we'll go for it. We'll select people in areas that have an overabundance of those craftsmen.
Awesome. Sosie?
Yeah, I actually really liked your answer, DA, because one thing that we say a lot is, we're not just role players. We are PvEers, we're PvPers, we are crafters, and we all have to pitch ourselves out there. So in like a PvP example, just a side note, even if I don't PvP, I'm going to throw myself to the wolves because a body is a body. I need to block somebody. So when it comes to crafting, that was actually one of the core pillars of our community when it was formed. From a roleplay perspective, my character, his family is from a trade company, Fanmx Antiquities. So we have a crafting focused part of our community as well. And we've got some super smart people that are already like deep spreadsheets in on like our plans for that. And a part of that is having a mastercraft system. So we will have master crafters we will put resources into getting them to a point where they can be self-sufficient, and then building up, apprenticeships and everything from there. We're not going to be, hounding people to say, okay, we need more blacksmiths, so you're going to be a blacksmith, because ultimately, like others have said, that's going to run people's motivation to continue logging in, or they'll leave the community because they're like, well, I can't do a Gilded house because I wanted to be a jeweler and they said I have to be a blacksmith. We're not doing that, but what is important to us is ensuring that those people that are there to support the community and build the community do get benefits from that. So if you're going to be handling a profession that we need more people for, we're going to give you more resources and benefits to help push you up in your profession, because that is us giving back for what you're contributing to our community. So that's ultimately the goal, and hopefully will help diversify.
Yeah, so I think it's a big agree on what DA and Cersei said, about the idea that, everyone needs to come together for economics. It doesn't mean that you need to be in the forge hammering out something 24/7, but like, for example, if you're a PvPer running around out in the open, picking up the random rocks and sticks that you see along the way and being a gatherer probably is not a bad idea, because it doesn't really deter you from doing the content you're enjoying. You just do it along the way as you're doing your content. And I think pushing people who enjoy certain content into things that are going to be less invasive in their gameplay is very important. Another thing is Grey Sentinels. We've been planning for this since the beginning. We have a yearly guild census to figure out what professions people are interested in and what are lacking in interest. Because we have this information, we can work to fill the needs of the guild as well as ensure the right people having resources funneled towards them. You know, like DA said, we don't want to funnel resources towards people who aren't really locked in on the guild. You know, I've been in guilds in the past where people funnel those resources into people and then they just leave and then you're hung out to dry. You know, that's the worst thing that can happen. So I think it's important to keep in mind that a guild is only as strong as the gear that the crafters can make them. So in this game, more than in any, a guild needs to have like work together to ensure all the members can properly be geared as well as enjoy the game. It is important to keep in mind that we intend to play all parts of the game. We need to put value on all aspects of artisan professions. Grey Sentinels is about equality and efficiency when it comes to artisan type things. And we will have Master Crafters Council, where each profession will have a head crafter that will work with other crafters in the profession to ensure that the production of gear is seamless and the resources needed to be efficient are required for all of the guild. So yeah.
Awesome. Jamie.
Yeah, so I echo a lot of these sentiments, as the Chaos Unleashed Cartel is going to be a PvX guild. Crafting definitely falls into that, either it being crafting, gathering, or processing. So one of the requirements is you need to have a profession. You need to make sure that you're working on it. As for forcing someone into a profession, no one's going to want to stick around if you're making them do things that they want to do. So it's recruiting people and making sure that you can find the right people for those things. I think one of the things too is that with being someone who does content creation, my goal was I don't want people to funnel me things. I think that would suck. I don't want to be, one of those streamers that jumps in a game, everyone wants to give them gifts. That was one of the ideas with that too, was with the guild, funnel it into the guild. The guild will always take precedence over what I want to do, what others want to do. And I think that's what I'm trying to do when I'm looking for members as well, is that your alignment needs to be, sure, you can have your own things that you want to do and the guild can help support, but the alignment needs to be with the guild. So all the material that's gathered needs to go into the guild. We need to look at, one, what's our market standing looking like? What's our, coins looking like? What are we looking at for mounts that are needed? That, speaking of mounts, I swear we have probably more animal husbandry mains than anything else due to Annie and her love of that and everyone else wanting to feed her that. So probably can look for us if you want a really good mount. But also when it comes to gear and stuff like that, we want to make sure that we're kitting out everyone, and also that understanding too, that, hey, the priority is going to the people that show up. And I think that would be something that's kind of set day one, is, hey, if you're not here to do things and you're not helping to feed the guild, you are going to be on that lower priority list. So I think rewarding those people too that want to make the guild succeed and want to see everything go, and to know that, yeah, you're going to get a payout out of that too by putting in that hard work, rather than also feeling like, oh, man, I'm doing all this stuff and I'm not getting anything. Well, paying attention to those people who are contributing and doing the most too is also going to pay off.
Okay. And Des?
I'm going to echo a lot of the stuff here too. Everyone in the Revas Order is going to be participating somehow in the crafting artisan system. We want to plan to see what our members are interested in, and see what we need to focus in to get our gearing pathways set up. That's going to be the biggest thing, is getting our guild set to fight whatever threats come forward. So making sure that our members have that opportunity for full success and is part of our artisan strategy. Whatever gaps that we end up having, we'll fill those as we need. I'm not going to force anybody to take whatever we need, just whatever we can.
Awesome. All right. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and close out the redeems for questions, and so that I can get that poll together as we use the next bit of time here to have an open chat amongst our guild leaders. We have a little bit of extra time, so I'm actually really excited for this. Vertec, did you want to start us off with the question?
Yeah, so if anybody has any preference, go ahead and pick out one of those questions, including even going back to the original question that was changed right as we were starting up, and that's what is the focus of your guild? If you'd like any of those questions, either to do a deeper dive on what we've already discussed, or to bring up one of the last 3 questions that we have not actually spoken about yet.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss the focus of the Iron Coin.
Okay. So we have focus, and then we have 1 vote for what do you look for in a member. Anyone want to be a tiebreaker between those 2?
I'll be a tiebreaker.
You'd be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I really did want to cover what are you looking for in a member. I think it'll be really interesting to hear everybody's take on that.
Seconded.
Okay. Then let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with, looks like DA was the one who submitted that through. And Bergund, we'll see if we can swing back around to that one later on. See if we can make up some time and get back to that one for you.
By the way, the question section is closed at the moment. I don't know if it's closed on your end, but I'm not accepting anymore. For this section, sorry, for chat.
I'm turning it off right now.
Perfect, thank you.
It is off. All right, so DA, go ahead and read off your question there.
Yeah, so the question I propose is, what are you looking for in a member? Just to start it off, for us, we're looking for people who really just want to play Ashes of Creation for the long haul, people who are dedicated to the game and want to push the boundaries of what Ashes of Creation has to offer. We're looking for people who are interested in basically running all types of content. Like I said, PvE, PvP, crafting, gathering, or processing, whichever one you choose. But we're looking for those well-rounded players, people who have experience in games like EVE and ArcAge, where they're like true PBX games. And we're looking for those people who, don't mind waking up for 3 a.m. at world bosses, don't mind, swapping the classes or professions based on whatever the guild or the alliance needs. We really try to run a guild/alliance first organization, and a lot of times for all of us that asks of us to do things that we might necessarily not want to do. God forbid, I had to play a mage during one of those tests, but it is what it is. Those mages were really strong, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that we pull out ahead. And I'm looking for members who want to do the same.
Right. Fair enough. Kash.
Before I get started here, I want to take up just a little bit of time to make mention of something that Jamie said earlier that I think could have gotten easily overlooked. Jamie was basically talking about he doesn't want to be the type of player or leader to have somebody come in and give him a bunch of donations and stuff for items in game and such. And I want to resonate that, because as a leader, especially as a guild leader in any capacity, you never want to put yourself in a position to take from your players, to take from your members. And that is the long and short of it. I just want to say that is a sign of solid leadership. So kudos to you, Jamie, for bringing that up, because it's a really, really important thing. What the Black Talon Trading Company is looking for out of members. First of all, one of the first things that people have to do when they come into our community is they have to read our COC. They have to read our code of conduct, because ours might not be very different from other code of conducts, but we very actively enforce our code of conduct. And we don't do it with a heavy hand. We do it with a very kind hand. But there are going to be people out there that just will not gel with what we're trying to build. And those people will find themselves out, whether it's by us or whether it's by them just realizing it and leaving. And that is either of those is fine. In addition to that, we're looking for, again, or also, which was previously stated, we're looking for folks who are dedicated to the game. We are looking for active members. We are going to have a 2-week pruning policy, which basically means unless you have let us know that you're not going to be in the game, if you haven't logged in 2 weeks, then you'll get a warning and then you'll be pruned. Active players is going to be super important to do the things that we want to do in Vera. I think overall, over everything, and this might come out sounding very strange, but this really has worked for us in the past. We're looking for kindness. And I'm not saying kindness in PvP, because that's probably not going to happen with a lot of our folks. And we're not Care Bears, but we care about our people first, and we care about our people's experience first. So we're looking for kindness, and we're looking for great attitudes in all things, because there are going to be parts of this game that are going to, for all intents and purposes, piss people off. We do have a hard focus on in our community of being respectful to others. Doesn't matter if it's in the game or out. There's going to be a lot of politics here. And as example, like one of the things that we are completely against is teabagging other players. We are not going to do that. We are going to salute other players that we best in combat. Toxicity, just to close this out, toxicity is something that we are absolutely against, and we will go against that ferociously. If you're toxic, you're just not going to be a part of what we're doing. We will never claim to be drama free, but we at Black Talon Trading and at LoreForge, we are absolutely drama controlled.
Real quick, I have the poll kind of pinned, so please check that and feel free to vote. Voting is open.
All right. Yeah, this is Bergund of the Iron Coin, and it's really unfortunate that you had to highlight Jamie's excellent comment, because the only thing that we are looking for are Chads and Chadettes, kings and queens, Discord kings and queens, and server boosters only. I'm just kidding. So yeah, the Iron Coin, we're going to be pretty dynamic despite having a limitation on what our primary class can be, and so we are looking for players that understand that sacrifice will bring quality community engagement to the design of Ashes of Creation. So players must understand that Ashes will not allow players to do everything in its system. They will have to make their own choices, and those choices will create limitations. And so by joining the Iron Coin, you are admitting to the limitation of being a cleric. However, that provides an incredible amount of content for you as a player once you become an Iron Coin. We are going to be looking for players that have a deep understanding, or at least are willing to understand our values, which are honor, duty, loyalty, and faith. We are going to be clerics, and we will be heavily focused on the religious aspects of the game. And so with our group being as dynamic as it is, considering the versatility of the secondary archetype and the different augment choices that we will have, and because we are going to be heavily PvP focused, we will have RP as well, but PvP battle clerics are where we are intending to go with our group. This will be mutually beneficial for our players in terms of content and resource access. Yeah, please consider the Iron Coin if you are interested in being willing to make a sacrifice that creates and provides a freedom for you as a player. Yeah.
All right, DA.
He posed the question.
Oh, there. That was Cersei. Cersei.
I think what I could define for Gilded House, what we're looking for, has always been quality over quantity. You know, quality members who understand that they're joining us, but, you know, we have an application process, we have an onboarding process. Any initiates that come into our community have to, you know, show that after they're approved, they're actually going to be active. They're going to participate in role play or join our community meetings. We have monthly live roleplay events. We've had 6 this year. We have community meetings every month. So we have a lot of activity that's always going, even at this stage. So it's important for us that the people who come and join actually want to participate. If they don't want to participate, you know, we've got a leave of absence area where people can post their leave of absence. They're going to be gone for a while. But other than that, like, we do monthly roll calls. So a lot of the things that we'll have in game and we'll kind of narrow down more in game, we've already got those processes ongoing now. So our membership, we do trim those back, or we do, you know, see who's here and who's not here, because we want to make sure that we don't have any false numbers. It's easy to have like a Discord of 200, 300 people, but we want to try to keep those numbers as accurate to our actual active members as possible. So when we're looking for people, we're looking for those active people, but we're also looking for people that, you know, they'll join us in voice chat. They'll play games with us. You know, we're playing PAX or we're playing Final Fantasy. Like we invite those people to join us or join us in a roleplay thread or a live roleplay event. We've got a lot going on, and it's important for us that we have active members who already want to be engaged and contribute at this stage, because that is going to forebode well for when we get to Alpha 2 and beyond.
So I guess to start it off is we have one primary rule in GS, and it's don't be a dick. It's a simple rule, but it keeps the wrong people out and keeps the good people in. You know, I can't tell you the amount of people that come in, and when you have all these convoluted rules, people end up breaking them anyway, and then they lose value because you don't enforce some of your rules. So by keeping it simple, stupid, obviously is the best way to enforce rules, because obviously, you know, you want to hang out with people who you want to log in with. You know, the worst thing I've ever had is in past guilds is where you see someone else hanging out in the voice chat and you don't want to go into the voice chat because you don't like that person. You think they're annoying, or they have some really hard viewpoints on whatever, and it makes you avoid going into your own guild.
Yeah.
Having these laws, these rules, it allows us to recruit in people we want to play with. Like I said, like at the way beginning with the intro, is we want to build a guild that is about family. It's about building that online community that guilds used to be about way back when, where now you have guilds that they're really just a means to an end. You join them, you get what you want to accomplish, and then you eventually leave them for another guild that's better. We want to avoid doing that. We want people who want to join our guild for the long run, want to be there. They don't only want to push content because that's what they enjoy. They want to push content so all their fellow members enjoy their time there. We want to make sure that people are having fun, but also, you know, kicking ass while they're doing it. Not to mention that we're also looking for people who are storytellers. We recruit in people who are novice role players as well as veteran role players. I think the big thing is that people get so scared when they're applying for the guild. They're like, I've never role played, or I only did tabletop. And I'm like, that's fine. If you don't role play at all when you're in Ashes, great. I just want you to have fun while you're here. If you do role play, build it on, build it up. Like, let's get the guild to be a place that people want to log into and not make it a job. Because you guys, I work. Yeah, what's up here, Doug?
Time.
Oh, time? Okay.
Yeah. And Jamie, tag you're in.
So it's funny to echo what Anduin said. Actually, I think one of my guild rules is don't be a dick. I think that's probably the one that I try to get people to stick to the most. We even have, and I'm sure some of you that are in our community Discord know that we have the slums. So Sam Adams has the FU rule, which is you can tell anyone that you work with to F off, but you better be ready to listen to what they say. And that's kind of the same vibe that I'm going with, is we have the slums to deal any hot takes, any questionable stuff. Take it down there, deal what you need to do, and come back. I think when we ran our guild in World of Warcraft, we had 120 plus members, and I've never really had to deal with anything aside from a small tiff between people. And normally people were able to work it out. And I think that's one of the things I look for too, is, are you going to fit the vibe of the guild? Are you going to mesh well with people? And that's what I look for too. When people are integrating, I'll watch new members. How are you integrating? How are you dealing with people? And it's as soon as I see something that I don't like or whatever, you're gone. Like I don't do you're getting a warning, you're getting this. If I see one thing, you have to do a lot to piss me off to the point where I'm just going to kick you. So that's how I run things, is you're not getting a warning, you're not getting a notice. You knew coming into here what the expectation was. You break that, you're gone. So I think that's one of the things that Annie and I do really well, is we don't tolerate anything that's going to disrupt what we're trying to get out of the guild. I don't know if that's a bit heavy-handed compared to other guilds, but that's how we've run it, and it's always been really well. So the expectation is you come in and you handle yourself accordingly, and if you need to deal with something, especially don't bring personal stuff into a video game. Like, deal with that elsewhere. I know stuff's going to flare up, people are going to do whatever, but like the point is, when people come into a game, They just want to play a game. They want to leave. That's the whole reason why most of us want an MMO, so that we can forget about all the bullshit that's out in the real world, so we can sit down, do cool stuff together. So that's kind of what we're looking for with players.
Yeah. Just a quick reminder, we got 3 minutes left for you guys to vote on the answers before we lock that down as well.
All right. So the Revas Order is looking for first people that want to play Elven characters, then also people who care about the community and want to work together to accomplish goals in the community that we are in, and make your mark. We want to know everyone in the guild. I personally I want to know who you are. Want everyone to feel comfortable to be who you are in the guild, and just encourage everyone to be able to participate however they can.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Simple enough. Simple answers are sometimes the absolute best.
Yes, yes, yes.
All
And
right.
for those of you wondering, just in case, we did adjust our formatting this time around because we were. It was given us the feedback that they would like to hear more of the guest, and so Vertek and I are mainly moderating. If you're wondering why we're not answering anything.
Yeah. Just kind of moderating and kind of keeping things moving. We don't run a guild, therefore we don't have any much.
We don't have much to talk
we
about.
don't have much to talk about there. So, all right. Now it looks like the poll is actually running at a point where I would say that in the next 1 minute, there's probably not going to be a ton of votes coming in to change the outcome. So I'm gonna
You'd
start
be
getting hooked on
surprised.
this.
It's jumped up about 10 in the last couple of minutes.
It was
All
also
right.
shared in the ALC Discord as well. So
Oh, great.
yeah,
All right, so what is it? About 30 seconds left.
Roughly. It says it ends in a minute. It doesn't give me that granular.
Okay.
But
fair
it
enough.
will automatically end, so we don't have to worry about me ending it itself.
I just
but
wanted
we
to
do
get an
have-
actual timer going. Oh man,
We
yeah,
have a
whole
clear
bunch of
winner
votes
if you would like. We can start with a clear winner because there's no
Oh,
way
yeah.
unless there's a bunch of people because it's 10 and then 4.
Yeah, there's no way
So-
people are bypassing that one. Unless literally 17 people jump in right now.
Unless I just challenge them to
Yep.
the challenge of their lifetime. But no, it looks like it ended, so we
All
are
right.
good to go. I will go ahead and for those of you in our guild summit, I will post and we will start from the most popular and go down from there. That way you can see what the questions are and we'll go from there.
All right, so the first question, the very tippy top voted one,
you
is
go.
from Tenguru. And Tenguru asks, what do y'all plan on doing to prevent server-wide guild coalitions from forming? And go ahead and take a moment to think about that. And when we do start up, we're going to be starting with Kash from the Black Talon Trading Company due to alphabetical order. You, sir, get to be first.
Tenguru.
Tenguru.
Okay. Let's see
Thank you,
here.
Exiled.
Prevent server-wide guild coalitions from forming. Like, I think that's the big question, right? And I think that's a
Mhm.
question that a lot of people are so worried about in regard to guild size, to those Zerg guilds and Zerg alliances. And it's one I think that Steven's answered quite a bit, and his answer is always risk versus reward. This is part of the game. It's built into the game. And
Yeah.
if that starts happening in any certain areas of the game and it starts encroaching into your node and into the things that you want to do, then it is incumbent upon the player. It is incumbent upon the organizations and guilds that players create and ally with to get together and squash those things. So, do I think it's a bad thing? No, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's absolutely going to happen. There's going to be, and you know, when did it happen to a lot of us? It happened to a lot of us in New World, and there was not much you could do about it other than to get good, son.
Mm.
You truly are going to have to do that. You know, we may end up being victims of it, and we may end up being a part of something like this, where we have a super strong alliance, and you're just going to have to deal with it with the systems that are in place in the game. We talked about one of them, and that's subterfuge and spying.
Mhm.
I mean, everybody knew about that big thing that happened with Eve. That was one of the coolest things that's ever happened on the face of gaming ever, when there was just a major takeover of a major corporation, and it had to do with all of these things. Seeing problems, putting spies and splinter cells in place, planning, politics behind the scenes, and reversing said problem. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Fair enough. All right, Bergund.
Yeah. So, what does the Iron Coin plan on doing to prevent server-wide guild coalitions from forming? I would like to turn this question on its head and full embrace the idea that that's almost an inevitability at one point or another in basically every server. There's a consideration for the design of the game to have players working together, and there are ways in which that can be taken advantage of. And please excuse my puppy for wanting to interject in this podcast, but yes, I think the idea that server-wide coalitions, I mean, they're gonna happen at some point for each server. I think, I don't know about server-wide necessarily, but dominating the server for a little bit is certainly an experience that I think the design of the game is wanting us to be prepared for. There is some good things that come from that, and there are some challenges that come from that. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the design of Ashes of Creation. It is encouraging us to consider what to do despite the server-wide guild coalitions. And it's not necessarily something that I would want to fight against. It is something that I would want to consider offering our services for as a guild of all clerics. There are some huge benefits that I would say the Iron Coin can provide an alliance or those trying to oppose such an alliance. We are mercenaries, so we don't have ties necessarily to the one side or the other sort of mentality. It is more of a who's going to provide us the richest experience in the game. And so I don't necessarily want to support a server-wide guild coalition for the entirety of my gameplay experience in Ashes of Creation, but I will encourage the Iron Coin to consider how we can benefit from such a thing taking place in a server.
There you go. Fair enough approach.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just about to call on you.
I also agree. I think that one of the things it's interesting when the question is posed is what are you doing to stop it? And I personally don't think it's something that needs to be stopped. I think that a lot of the kind of castle in-game, like large-scale gameplay is going to come down to alliances versus guilds. Another thing is that we have to remember in alliances, the answer to that big guild problem. So like, if you are making it easy to stop alliances, you're making it harder for smaller guilds or medium-sized guilds to build that coalition to work together to take on some of those those larger guilds in the big content. So I don't think the alliance thing should be easily topped. I think it should be embraced. I think Albion Online does a really good job of that. They have a huge alliance system kind of baked into their in-game, and it is essentially the pinnacle of that in-game is that alliance versus alliance. Guilds still have their own role that they play within the game, but the alliance is kind of the overall head of things when it comes to the power in certain areas. Same thing with Conqueror's Blade. So when it comes to, for our guild in particular and kind of stopping that, I would say the biggest thing for us is evaluating, one, what is the power of that alliance, right? Do they outnumber us? Two, what is the kind of item, the average gear look like for those players? Are they, is it an alliance? And what are the goals of that alliance? Is it an alliance so that they are not getting killed on caravan runs or being able to defend themselves when they're going into dungeons? Or is it an alliance that wants to directly compete with power on things like guild castles and whatnot? Lastly, I think one of the things that Kash said about, just that Eve, that subterfuge, that the spying, things like that, I think that's one of the things that players who are coming from a background of maybe World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, who haven't kind of played that PVX or kind of multi-scale MMO, it's going to be something a little bit new for them. because this is a game where you have to put people into other guilds to make sure where are they going, what dungeon boss are they doing, what raid boss are they doing, are they moving caravans, how can we disrupt and help dismantle that. And that's just a gameplay that I know a lot of people who kind of play MMOs a little bit more casually aren't necessarily a fan of because of how much work it takes to design this.
Yeah.
All right, and Cersei.
Yeah, kind of echoing what others have said. I mean, I don't think there's necessarily a way to prevent server-wide guild coalitions because it seems like it's playing as intended. And to kind of take it a step further, there's already coalitions that are formed or forming. We're not in game yet, but, as an example, we have the Ashes roleplay community. That's got a lot of roleplay communities and roleplay-like communities. Are we all in like one alliance? Not necessarily, but it's kind of like unspoken that we're going to support each other for the most part. So while we might not be in some formalized alliance, a lot of those roleplay communities are going to stick together, working together hand in glove and what have you. So, I mean, it's kind of playing as intended. And to work what off DA said, smaller communities are going to want to align with other communities, other large, medium, small, whatever communities. So they'll be able to actually complete content. So there's going to be, server-wide guild coalitions. I think it's just the matter of how those coalitions interact. And you want to have a server that's healthy. So you don't want to just have one guild coalition. You'd want to have numerous ones, numerous alliances, and that's how you have a healthy server. Now, if you have a situation like in a game like New World where one faction is like taking over the map and like there's no beating them back, that's when you get issues that kind of you have to figure out how you're going to combat that. And I'm sure Steven and the team, if they get a server like that, could throw like, oh, we're going to throw a random story event that decimates a node or something like that, and that keeps that server alive. So I think that's going to be something that counteracts that as well. The world events we don't necessarily know that are going to happen.
Fair.
So I'm going to say something, and I'm going to preface this. Any ally I have, some of which are in this chat right now, I will fight tooth and nail going against whoever we have to fight to make sure my allies are protected and supported. Now, here's my hot take. Maybe it's lukewarm, and I'm sorry my members who are watching who are like, oh god, Andwin's on a rant. Okay, so here's the deal. I think that we keep talking about being involved or not involved. I'm about the more toxic take, and if you see peace happening on your server, completely, everybody's coming together, we're all like, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that together, and make sure a peace is happening. I'm a PvPer at heart. I love PvP. I might actively work against a server-wide coalition because I want to PvP people and have that drama, have that kind of conflict happening. I think it's important to have that, and I think every single other PvPer in the game wants that too, because the death of MMOs comes from two things. One, when it's so much PvP that the PvEers hate the game, or it's so peaceful that the PvPers hate the game. You need a balance. And server coalitions, while yes, we have the roleplay community, and I'm not going to attack them, I think it's important to say that if we have peace all the time, there's going to be no fun content for the PvPers, and it's going to dry the game up for people. So I'm all about creating tension amongst any server-wide coalition because it just hurts the gameplay loop overall.
Okay. Jamie?
I do like hearing a lot of the guilds talking about the fact of, I could almost pose it this way: is why is a large coalition a problem? I think there are a lot of people that either aren't in guilds or are worried that a large group of people are going to somehow stop their fun. But I think it's also important to think of like what content are you trying to do? Because I am someone who don't view larger coalitions as an issue unless it ends up being a bunch of sister branches of the same guild that are locking down 85 different nodes. If you get into that, it's a design problem. It's not just a player problem. That's the game's designed poorly, and it should never got to that point to begin with. That worst case scenario is on the devs to make sure that doesn't happen. having large mega guilds have different coalitions, or, and other people have talked about too, that you have alliances of small guilds that are going to potentially create a large coalition. And even within our guild have talked about, is that something we want to do? Do we want the cartel to just be an alliance with a branch of other guilds underneath it? And I think listening to everybody talk about this, I think a lot of people that run guilds are kind of in the same spot where it's like a large group of people is not necessarily a problem. And I like hearing that a lot. So I don't think it's necessarily how do you stop this coalition, but it should be how do you join a coalition? What are you going to do as a player to make sure that, yeah, if you don't like this coalition, are you siding with other people to work with them to make sure that you're able to stop that? And also going to what Anduin's saying too, like peace in an MMO is going to suck. And I think that's one of the things with the Chaos and Lace Cartel. Like Chaos is supposed to be so we can raise a bit of hell. Lace is more of being on that diplomatic side. But even Ashes had posed the question of, you know, what would get you to work with your node or to prevent like a node war or something, or join them. And I was saying it depends on what the guild wants. If I want to watch my own node burn because it's going to benefit me, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I like that. Yes.
All right, Des.
So it comes down to diplomacy. You're gonna have coalitions across Vera that are gonna need to come together just to get people geared, because you can't do it in one region. But as far as it comes to being friends with everybody on the server, not a chance. Our region comes first. Our vassal network will come first, along with our guild. If you are a threat to our region, we're coming for you. We're gonna take your stuff and we're gonna make it ours.
Very nice. All right, should we go on to the second question? Do we have time for that?
Yeah, we can do a speed round of a second question, or you guys can talk a little bit deeper on this one as an open chat. Any preference of guild leaders present here?
There's a couple things I'd like to comment on, if anybody wants to discuss.
I'm open to discussion.
Yeah, I'm open to continue this discussion.
Yeah, so one of the things that I really find interesting, and I think that hasn't really been talked about, is the goals within game and what's needed to achieve them. So like we talked about, you know, the coalition, and another thing is when you guys were speaking about what are you looking for in members, and I think that these answers really vary based on what your goals in game. For example, like a guild like ours, a lot of you guys say, you know, you're not really big on, you know, forcing your members to go into certain positions or down certain avenues within either their play style or the artisan that they choose, things like that. But for a guild like myself and the kind of competitiveness and the level of competitiveness that we're trying to achieve within game, that's definitely necessary for us, because that doesn't work for a guild like us when we're fighting other guilds who are basically taking every advantage that they can to get, you know, +1, +2% lead on everybody. So the kind of the need for giving those people that structure, I think is very important based on your goals, and as well as, sorry, I'm just trying to think how to word this. I think that a lot more than often, you know, I think when we think about telling people how to play the game, things like that, on the surface, it sounds like, hey, you know, I really don't want to be this person to tell you how to play your game. It's your $15 a month, things like that. But I think more often than not, I come across a lot of people who want that kind of direction, who want to be a part of something bigger, and they don't necessarily care, as long as, you know, they're not, you know, hey, I'm a healer, and you want me to play tank. Maybe they go from healer to support, things like that. But more often than not, a lot of people just kind of want that direction, a sense of belonging, so that they feel that they are doing something to going out of their way and doing something to kind of achieve that overall arcing goal. So I think that one of the things that's kind of just missing from the equation here is, you know, what your goals are and how those goals affect not only your recruitment, but like we said, you know, the guild coalitions, right? What is your reason for joining a coalition? And, you know, is it worth putting in, investing the time to necessarily stop that versus, build onto that?
Yeah, I mean, being a guild of clerics, I think our goals are going to be very much an experiential thing instead of materialistic necessarily. I think materialistic goals have a very clear pass and or fail, and that can create if we're trying to keep engagement and keep the interest alive in members while also engaging with the content of the game, not taking away from it and having players feel disgruntled because a node falls, which is going to be a very dynamic and integral part of the design of the game.
Right.
So like our goals are to be the preeminent cleric community for the Ashes of Creation community at large. You know, if you have clerics out there that want to learn about the class, we will have the nerds that are studying that class in particular extensively. So, you know, that's a goal that's going to make it so that as things happen, as updates take place, as others come into understanding what the Iron Coin can provide, the experience will be rich instead of we are failing as cleric nerds.
So I did want to go a little bit off of what DA was saying. So I think there's a couple ways to do that, where it's either, I think forcing someone into a role that they're not interested in playing is going to cause a bit of player friction, and it's hard to keep those people to want to stay with you unless they are the type of person where it's not really a force, it's saying, hey, do you want to do this? So I think there's different ways of looking in that, and some of that was going to come down to the recruitment. So I do want to make sure to not get it twisted to say that we're going to let you do whatever you want. Like, it's going to come down to that initial recruitment of what does the guild need? What are you offering? Are you open to doing this? If you're telling me you're going to do something that I've got 100 people already doing, this is not a spot. So I think that's part of it too, is there's different ways to go about how do we fulfill this competitive need versus saying like, oh, well, this is what you're going to do. And I think it's going to come down to that recruitment spot of what are you offering? This is what we have available.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah. I'll just be very brief. I definitely agree with that, and I think there's a balance there, because guilds are about people. Your communities are about people, and you don't want to create friction by doing that. I completely understand that Enveus might have a different focus than what Black Talon is, but we're all in the game to have fun and hit those goals that we want to hit. And just like Jamie's saying, I think there's definitely a way to craft the needs that you need, instead of forcing something down someone's throat. And, you know, like for us, it would be something as simple as a job board. Like, and we would always start with volunteers first. Hey, this is what we're looking for. Do we have any volunteers? And then we would, you know, obviously have to go into some other means in order to get that done if we didn't have anybody step up. But I would rather see myself change, say, an artisan or crafting focus before I would ever require one of my members to do so.
Yeah.
So I kind of like to echo off of Jamie and DA, though, in the idea that it is who you recruit, right? DA is recruiting a bunch of chads who wants to be the best on the competitive side. It is. Every single member I've met from Enveus, they're great guys, but they want to be the best. And I think that's awesome. You're recruiting in who you want. Like my own guild, we're recruiting in people who... It's the idea that we're all in it together. So like with the recent census we just had, we had probably about 25 to 30% of our population is saying that whatever the guild needs, they're going to be. And I think that's important because, you know, while yes, you're going to have some people that they're like, I want to only play a fighter and I only want to chop trees down. Yeah, that person, you probably might not be able to convince them to play, you know, a Vanguard, but yeah. I did it. I said it. I'm sorry.
Anything but Vanguard.
They're ringing on me.
Yeah, I just want to make clear, like, that's why we have the requirement to be cleric before even joining the guild. I wouldn't want to choke anyone after the fact, and I think it's important to have that sort of step take place so that players understand exactly what they're signing up for as a member of the Iron Coin.
Yeah, and that ring, by the way, was for overall. We are at the end of the time limit, I believe.
You're pushing me off, I see.
I'm pushing you off. Get out of here. Get off the podium. Yes, so Vertec.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm watching something real quick here.
Are we doing the next question? I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's...
No, we're going off to break.
Okay, so we are about to go on our 10-minute break. I was pretty sure. I'm sorry. I'm also monitoring a lot. And we hope that you enjoy the commercials that the community submitted to us. We recently hosted an Alpha 2 hype commercial contest. and would like to give a proper shout out to Zillin and his group for winning, Morador and his group for getting second place, and Dunehold for getting third. All submissions were really amazing. It was very fun watching them, and we wanted to have something that would be interesting for you guys to watch, whether you're subscribed or not. That way, those of you during even our normal podcast, if we have a ad, which I know that a lot of you have been noticing, there are ads, yes. At least then you're feeling like you're not missing anything super important. I will say, I will preface this, we don't have pre-roll ads turned on for the Guild Summit. We are doing every once in a while ads because we don't like ads in general. We wish that there wasn't a need for it. We are on other platforms, just as an FYI. And also, you either subscribing or being here really helps support us, and we appreciate you being here. But now is a 10-minute break. We're gonna grab some drinks. We're gonna maybe, if anybody is hungry, because I know for some of you it's gone from morning to afternoon, so we might need a little bit of a nom. Please feel free to hang out and chat. I might. Are you leaving the voice on this time, like you did last time?
No, the voice is gonna be off until we all get back. Once we start all getting back to the desk and whatnot, we might turn the mics on, voice chat back on, depending on consensus if everyone's good to go.
But we will at least have those be rolling through for you, and one of us will be here, as well as I'm sure some of the guilds that are here will be here in chat talking with you, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes.
Yep. See you then.
Are we clear to talk?
When the gods first
Ashes of grief.
When the gods first gave us life, they also gave us Vera, our home, our sanctuary. Until the Harbingers appeared in the night and brought corruption into our world. Neither spell nor blade could stop them, until only ruins remained. But at long last, we have returned. And this time, we bring the fight to them. Register now.
How would crafting gear compare to like that of gear?
Crafted gear in the game is the best gear. I'll be less inflammatory in my speech. Crafters make the best shit and best things.
You had a good long life.
You did have a good long life.
Happy life on the farm, and now...
Oh God, go to sleep. And remember, this is a work in progress. This is something that we are still expanding upon, something that we are still improving. It is never truly finished, but of course, it is getting close to Alpha 2 ready.
In the heart of our mountain home, legends were forged in fire and stone. But now, Vera awaits, where every hero's journey begins anew. Craft your destiny, conquer mighty beasts, and shape the world as you see fit.
Let's open in 3, 2, 1.
Join us, kinfolk, in a realm where your choices echo through eternity. In the ashes of creation, our saga begins. Will you answer the call?
I also am like, just put that somewhere else so I can watch it, because I really just want to play.
Are you or someone you know bored with modern video games? Do you spend hours stretching through the pits of Steam looking to fill your needs as a gamer? You could be suffering from a brand new affliction called loop fatigue. Symptoms of loop fatigue include hostility, depression, agitation, overeating, hallucinations, or any other signs of mental insanity, like reactivating your World of Warcraft account for the 14th time. Some gamers suffering from loop fatigue would rather do real-life chores like mowing the lawn, washing the car, or God forbid, cleaning their room, rather than doing even one more daily quest. Loop fatigue can be devastating to your gaming career, but there is hope. World-renowned businessman, video game developer, and of course medical professional Dr. Stephen Sharif and his intrepid team are developing a cure. Known mostly by its street name Ashes, you'll wake up every day excited by the prospect of hours of gameplay free from the dreaded end-game loop. With its patented breakthrough formula and all-new proprietary ingredient called Nodes, you're guaranteed to give Ashes a thumbs up. Possible side effects of Ashes include long gaming sessions, restless leg syndrome, neglected children, extreme fun, carpal tunnel syndrome, sexually frustrated spouses, skyrocketing electric bills, broken homes, bed sores, and a good time. If you experience an erection lasting more than 4 hours while on Ashes, do not call a doctor, as this is proof the product is working. Hello. Welcome back again. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed those advertisements, those hype videos for Ashes and A2. Those were submitted by the community, and they had some fantastic, testing everybody exactly. Thank you for letting me know. See, if I had not tested you, I would not have known that you were such helpful people. And now we know. Alright, so now we're going to be rolling on, by the way, to questions that were submitted by Guildmasters from the evening group.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the format's going to be exactly the same as it was earlier.
These are similar to like the morning group, but since the evening group are here, Vertek and I are going to go back and forth and ask these questions on their behalf. And additionally, you're going to hear the evening group talk about them first, and then they'll answer the morning group's questions on the second half of their part. So I just want to quickly say thank you so much for all of the love and support that you guys are showing us. Thank you for showing up here. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for talking and showing up. It literally means so much to us. We put so much time and effort into this, and we just really want to help out the community. We want to showcase some really awesome guilds who have been on our show previously. And this is our first year doing it, so we're doing it with safe people so that we can get, some of the scuff ironed out before we invite the random people that we have not yet met and hope to meet in the coming year. So,
and as we always say, every time we have guests on, the most important topic that we discuss are these people that we have on. These are all great people that do great things for the community and their guilds, and they're really helpful and supportive of everyone that I've ever seen interact with them. So these are really great people, all of them.
And we're also turning on the question redeem again. And if you'd like, Vertek, I can take the first question.
Okay, let me go ahead and paste this in here so they can see it on the screen.
Perfect.
And go ahead and start reading off.
All right. So our first question is by Liniker of Nova Ordem, who asks, how do rival guilds balance the fine line between friction or banter and toxic trash talk, ensuring things don't go too far? And we'll start that off with Kash.
Politics and communication. I absolutely believe that. This is going to be one of those games where you're going to have to talk to people outside of the game. We've talked about it on our show before, where this is going to be one of the games where you get text messages when there's problems in the middle of your business meeting, that you're going to have to excuse yourself. And when your boss asks where you're headed, just tell them you're going to the loo. And then you're outside in the hallway and you're trying to handle issues such as these that could pop up with in between, toxicity in guilds, or just issues in between guilds. And that's the beauty of it. If you ask me, I really think that's the beauty of it. And it really does add that extra dimension to our gameplay when there are things like out of game politics that we're going to have to handle. And luckily for us, we have Sonny, who is an insane politician. And hopefully he's going to be handling the lion's share of this kind of stuff for us. But yeah, I think those two things in general, those two things in particular, actually, is going to be politics and communication between the two.
Felt that in my soul.
Okay,
Bergund.
Yeah, so I kind of just want to expand on those two concepts because I think it's really hitting it on the head. There's also something to consider where we're playing a game and this isn't real life, and friction takes place in real life between quote-unquote rival guilds or friend groups or jobs or co-workers or things of that nature. And so there is a bit of conflict that takes place online where there can be DMs between people where it's like, hey, let's tone it down a little bit. Let's not take this role play, quote-unquote, or this actual rivalry too far to the point where you're misrepresenting one side or the other, to the point where it becomes I hate to use the word, but cringe, to the extent where you're kind of making your group look bad, or you're bringing up dirt that's like a political mudslinging fest, and that's just it doesn't really work in anyone's favor to watch that, to hear that, to use that in a tool between rivals. And so nipping those kinds of things in the bud where there are direct communication in behind closed doors to make sure that those individuals don't take things too far, but then also sometimes it just comes to speaking directly and saying, hey, there's a line that I think I would rather we not cross. Let's respect the line, or just stop communication because there's a lack of management involved, or there's something integral to the longevity of player retention and or other representations that we don't want to lose track of.
That makes sense. PA?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question because, again, kind of going back to the different guild types and kind of your goals and whatnot, just speaking for Enveus, we play in a world where we play around with a lot of guilds who are very toxic and are very they love the drama, they love the feeling of that, and it's a very interesting path to navigate, right? I've been in situations where and one of the things that we really try to do is not trying to create like logical fallacies around the other guilds. Just because you ran up and beat up on a group running a caravan doesn't mean that that instantly just gives you the right to start talking shit about their guild, because that's not a reflection of their guild. I mean, we've all been there where we're auto running content while on the phone with the boss, like Kash said, trying to text somebody to handle some drama, and we're trying to get from point A to point B. We're not paying attention, and we get got, and that it's just going to happen in the game. So player banter, when it comes to player and player banter, as long as things aren't getting out of hand when it comes to like doxing, using racist terms, or any of that overly toxic stuff, that we just have zero tolerance for. We'll remove you from the guild within with no questions asked. But just like the player on player friction, hey, we just fought your team in arena, we shit on you. That stuff is going to happen naturally in the game, and I personally feel that you're going to spread yourself so thin and overstress if you're trying to kind of put out every, he called me bad, or, he kicked my dead body. That's an arcade saying, you can kick dead bodies once you defeated them. And as for us as well, like we kind of enjoy that gameplay. You know, I've had my body kicked on before as well, so like it's really a kind of touch and go basis. I'm sorry, I didn't want to go over time.
All good, you're fine.
You're good. And Cersei?
I agree with DA on this wholeheartedly, because coming from games like Arcade, Black Desert Online, New World, you know, this is a PvP game. It is a PvP game. There's bound to be trash talk. There's going to be hurt feelings. It's part of the nature of the game. And I personally can't control what other guilds or their leadership are going to do. All I can do is control my response. You know, GH is a community that will never resort to personal attacks or harm anyone outside the game. I've experienced that type of thing myself, and it's not fun. And at the end of the day, it's just a video game. Trash talk's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. People in GH, we have a lot of heavy PvPers as well. You know, I've had conversations with them about these types of things, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, people are going to get butthurt, and they just have to like pull up their pants. Like some things are, you know, par for the course. It's when it becomes like a personal attack and it goes outside of the game, which is kind of where it's just not okay. It's never okay. But, you know, if someone's saying you're a lousy PvPer and, you know, it's squatting over your dead body, I mean, that's what I've all experienced that. So I'm like not worried about those types of things. And one thing I'll add is, you know, I am very political focused coming from games that have a lot of that. But sometimes another community, you know, you can't control the response because they might just shut off talking to you. And when they shut off that communication, it doesn't matter what you say or what your motive was. If they're like, I'm not talking to you, that's something you're going to have to deal with too, because I've had to deal with that. And it's a very difficult path to take.
And do it?
Sorry, I'm controlling myself from what my members said.
Wait, hold on. Which guild are you? I think this is about guilds, right? Guilds. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So I think this question is, you know, obviously communication is everything, like Kash said, you know, communication, politics. But I think rivalries and enemies will exist in the world. It's like a natural thing for people to disagree and fight. But I think it's so long as people don't take things to like an out of game thing, doxing, as DA said, or like Cersei said, attacking people, you know, because like gaming is our way to escape. Because you attacked someone caravan, or you know, danced on their body or whatever, and you're now trying to go after their job in real life or like make them get divorced and stuff. It's such a messed up thing, and it's happened. I mean, just recently in the news, some guy literally over Arcade brought a hammer to Florida and like attacked a guy over Arcade. So like, you know, I think it's important to try to rein in your members and realize that, you know, don't go too far with things, as well as understanding that if it's understood that some amount of rivalry, some enemies happen in the world, it's a normal thing. And then people don't get so bent out of shape. Because if you make the expectation for everyone to, you know, play nice and behave and stuff, that means when someone doesn't, it's going to hurt that much more. So, you know,
right.
Don't use kitty gloves with your members.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I echo a lot of stuff what everyone else is saying. When Annie and I first started our guild, it was on a World of Warcraft private server. And we went in there with the idea that we were going to take members, and we did. And there was a lot of trash talking, but that never left the game. So I think that's really where we kind of draw the line, is that keep things within the game. Once it starts spilling out, once you start, because I've had to talk to members too, like you don't personally message people, you know, you don't get in their whispers trying to say things to get them worked up. If it's about game content, whatever, that's one thing. But once you start doing it where you're starting to pull in real life stuff, that's to me where it becomes a problem. I mean, I'm sure some of us have even seen the White Order get in trash talk on YouTube. You had other guilds literally making YouTube videos to mock Steven's guild, to talk trash. So it's gonna happen, and part of it is too, like, if you're on the receiving side, you need to have a thicker skin. I think, especially when there's a game where you've got like this open world PvP, like you have to learn how to like let some of this stuff brush off, because people will use the in-game stuff to try to get your guild riled up, to try to break up your guild. Like, people are going to use all tactics to be very political. And if you're not coming in this politically minded, where you're just letting the smallest things build up, like, it's gonna get to you. It is part of it too, with the guild leaders too, of like, what is too much? Where do we draw the line? What don't I tolerate? So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of back and forth, and also trying to find out what is the right amount of that. And also the dude with the arcade stuff, like, that dude would have been on Hinge in Fortnite. It's not, I saw some people arguing it's because of MMOs or whatever, or the nature of different things. It didn't matter. That dude would have been toxic no matter what game is played.
Crazy people gonna crazy no matter what.
Right.
Does Revas?
It's a tough one, but really, it's about community. You're reading the room, figuring out what actually, what your community tolerates, how well you know the people in your community. That's how you're gonna know. You just have to read the room. You can't. No one fix is gonna look at what that line is, because everyone takes things differently. So just knowing the people in your community is the best way to take care of that.
Great. Bertek, I think that goes on to our next question.
All right, it do. Let's see. Let me grab this one here. And as I get it pasted in, I'll read it right out. So this one is from Fanmx of TheoryForge, who asks, in what areas of the world will a small guild succeed? What do you think about that one there, Kash?
Yeah, Kash.
That's a really good question. And I think it's kind of split, because, we do have some semblance of balance between larger guilds and smaller guilds, with smaller guilds having guild perks. I think smaller nodes is probably going to be a good spot for those folks, because they're just going to have less area to have to scout, less area to have to cover. But even smaller guilds and smaller nodes are going to have areas that they're going to need to branch out to for additional resources. I won't, try to guide any smaller guilds out there to areas that I personally think you should go, but I would just say, if we were running a smaller guild, we would probably look for a guild that is a little bit more geographically desirable, and not one that a lot of the larger guilds want, say like a coastal node. I think a lot of the more scenic, a lot of the more resource heavy nodes are probably going to be gone after by some of the larger guilds. And no, I'm not giving any hints as to where Black Talon trading is going, because we don't know. But if you were to take the coastal node, for example, I think coastal nodes are going to be a pretty damn popular spot to set up shop. So, yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question that I have not yet considered. But I do think that the nodes that are more geographically desirable, maybe a little bit more defensible, are going to be ones that larger guilds are going to go for, and hopefully not push the smaller guilds out to different areas, because there is always a threat of smaller guilds having very powerful alliances. So you're gonna have to choose those things very carefully.
Bergund, what do you think of small guilds?
Yeah, so it's actually a question that I have considered heavily as a leader of a hopefully somewhat small guild. In comparison to the great leaders that are in this room with me. I think it's important to consider the limitations that smaller guilds will have. Limited number of players means limited number of party makeups necessarily all throughout the day, and having multiple groups doing those things. And so I would say the areas where small guilds succeed is based truly on how specialized they decide to be, and that's really why I think the all cleric primary class for the Iron Coin came from was we are going to be a smaller guild. There will be guild perks. There will be a need for clerics out there in the world, and because we are so hyper focused on our intentions as being an all cleric primary class guild, that is how we will succeed as a smaller group, because we have our intentions set. We are a needed class in the game in general, so others will hopefully be coming to request our services as either a large group or individuals. And there are a number of ways in which I think that will breed success, whether it's for you know, the idea of multiple different directions for a smaller group would spread you too thin and make it challenging for a group to accomplish them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say one of the areas that I think smaller guilds are going to thrive in is one, just kind of that specialized warfare. Things like, you know, murking themselves out, small like guerrilla tactics, things like, you know, caravan running. I think a lot of people have this kind of fear of like, hey, I'm everywhere I go, I'm just going to be swamped by like these big guilds going everywhere, you know, controlling these large swaths of lands. But you know, with the lack of fast travel, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think really small guilds are going to excel in kind of that small day-to-day, you know, commerce, trade, making the money. They're also not going to have some of the same goals or focuses as some of the larger guilds, which allows them to kind of focus a little bit more on, maybe they focus a little bit more on running caravans and using their glint to get, you know, higher commodities. Maybe they focus on like their node production, things like that. And I think a lot of that is going to allow smaller guilds to kind of live in their own space and have their own set of metrics and goals to find success within the world, which is something you don't normally see from these type of games. It's either you own one of the 5 castles or the 5 towns or however, whatever it is on the map, or you're nobody. And Ashes allows a lot of things with like the trophy graveyard, the economic system, and the investing in different guilds, things like that. The barony system and owning a freehold for your guild, and how that freehold, the guild freeholds, come into when it comes to that lower level guild versus guild play. It's just going to allow you to get wins in different areas based on your focus and goals, which is something that I'm excited to see for AOC, because you don't see that in a lot of these type of things.
Cersei?
Yeah, I think important to note, and I think everyone's kind of saying this, every guild measures success differently. So for a smaller community, success might mean, you know, attaining a freehold, or it might just be, you know, building your group to be like a band of raiders that's going after caravans or gathering materials in PvP. And then some communities, maybe smaller communities, will partner with other communities. They will join alliances or coalitions so that they will have a bigger piece of the pie and, you know, playing a key role in a node, or, you know, building up guild wars and things like that. So a lot of it comes down to, you know, what your guild, you know, measures for success, because that's going to vary from guild to guild, obviously based on the goals of those communities. You know, for GH as an example, like our community, we haven't set, you know, a specific, okay, we want to take this node or take that node. Our focus right now is on just making sure we have an engaged community, because if we have, you know, if we have a small community and let's say we have 50 members, it's important for us that we have 50 active and engaged members, because you could have a community of 100, 200, 300 people, but if you don't have 300 engaged members, you don't actually have a 300 member community. So that will be a measure for success for us, just having those engaged members in the game, so that whatever content we want to do with PvP, PvE, economy, we'll have those players that actually are there participating and not just like a number on paper, because that's going to be, I think, a big challenge for every community. And it's going to be important for those small guilds to be small, but have that engaged group as well.
Yeah, success is who gets my name right. And
there's some good bangers in this chat. I'm not gonna lie.
There are.
It's hard to keep a straight face.
It's okay. You don't have to keep a straight face.
I know. But then I go off on rants, and then I get the bing. No. Okay.
Fair.
Anyway, back then. So I think with small guilds, you know, everyone's really said everything I was thinking so far, which, you know, is one, keep your expectations to the size of the guild you have, you know. I can't tell you the amount of guilds that are pop up in Ashes of Creation, where day one they're like, we're going to be a server first guild, we're going to kill the first dragon, we're going to take a castle, we're going to be mayors of a metro, and all these different things, and there's like 3 guys in the guild. I think it's a big point about, as you grow, you can expand out your goals, you can expand out the content you're doing. Smaller guilds, like, for example, I actually think Bergund's cleric idea is a wonderful idea. How many times are people asking for clerics? How many times are you going to need people able to heal and be spread out on sieges, caravans, and stuff like that, and protecting your weak locations? Guilds like Bergund's are going to be the backbone of the game. While, yes, the big giant guilds, the mega guilds, what have you, will be smashing against each other and, trying to kill each other daily, you will have the smaller guilds which will be helping out the average day person. They're going to be helping caravans be pushed around. They're going to be filling gaps in raid teams. They're going to be filling gaps in, siege lines, all these different things. So I think, sure, you might not be the mayor of a metro, or you may not be a king or a queen of a castle, but you will be the person who might be the kingmaker. You might be the person who, goes out and pushes the votes around to get that person elected as mayor because you're well known. So I think small guilds, they have their place in Ashes. I think it's just along the lines of they have to kind of focus what they want to do. There we go. I made it in time.
You made it, Jamie.
Mainly just echoing what everyone else has said too. It's keeping your expectations of what you're going to be able to accomplish with that guild size. I think smaller, and that even comes down to defining what you're saying is small. Like if you are 3 dudes trying to think you're going to get server first, it's not going to happen. There is no world where that's going to happen. If you want to be a guild of 10 people, you think you can lock down an entire vassal system, that's just not going to happen. So it is looking at like, what do you want to accomplish? And then is that realistic for the guild size? Trying to turn the tide of a node war. Yeah, a small guild could do that. You could get 30 people that are super organized, even breaking up those into like different hit squads or something and having the maxed out perks. I think you could do a lot of different damage, but it's really looking at, what is your goals within Ashes and how many people do you need to facilitate that? Because I think that's something that gets lost, is trying to think of like, oh, I want to do all this stuff, but I don't want to be part of a mega guild. Well, your goal's really in line with being part of a mega guild, so why are you disliking this? And I think it's stepping back and thinking like, okay, what do I want to do in Ashes and who do I need to align myself to get those things done? I think that so many MMOs have gone into the way where there's a lot of solo player stuff that you can focus on, and I don't think there's going to be solo focused stuff that you can probably do, but you're not going to hit a lot of those high end goals without people by your side. And I honestly love that, because I want Ashes to be that very community focused and need to work with people. You can't just run a dungeon without saying a word kind of game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Preach.
Does Ryve?
I'm just going to echo everything that everybody else has already said. Basically, it's all about finding what your goals are going to be, and how you fit in whatever community you end up in. You want to just be off on your own, off in the little corner, way out of the middle of nowhere. Have a small node that we live at. Okay, cool. You could make that very successful. You could also be extremely successful in a node war with a big guild, big node that's highly developed, and you're taking those wet work missions. Basically, you're that highly skilled team that you've pulled together, and your cohesion may be better than this big Zerg that's just throwing people at the things. Really depends on how your success is, what your success is as a goal.
Success is different from all.
Yeah.
In the last couple of seconds, I'd like to throw a curveball for everyone. Just out of curiosity, what in the chat as well, what do you guys consider a small, and what do you consider kind of a large guild? Because I think I tend to find that people have varying degrees on what they consider small.
I think under 100 people is small, just because like with the size of the guild, you're looking at a 40-man raid, which is what Steven wants to be the top PvE content, is 40 man. So you have to have all those people, which means you have to have those people logged on for that. Then you also have to have people to protect the 40-man raid so they don't get ganked and have the final dragon or whatever stolen from them because they're raiding at that time. So, you're going to need people. And like Cersei said earlier, it's great and all if you have a 300-man roster, but if only 50 people log on, you only have 50 people. So, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I also see in chat some people are saying like 100, anything under 100 is small as anything under 50. So
I think we could also circle back to this later, and I have it.
Yeah,
I have it pinned. Feel free to put whatever question is that you want to talk more about in the chat. We have a dedicated chat for that for us that are guests, just to keep things going, so we have time to then circle back. Otherwise, we'll use up all that time, and then there will be no circling back.
Yeah, then we can deep dive.
All good.
Yes.
Sorry,
next
go ahead,
question's
Bergund.
on you, I do believe.
Okay.
I mean, I have it here. I
trying
can
to
go ahead and
find-
read it off. That's
Please
fine.
do.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, so if you do have a request to deep dive on that last question or one of the next ones or one of the two that we're not going to talk about, please put it in the chat that we have in Discord, and we will circle back after this for that 10-minute pause. But the next question we are addressing right now is from Ryve Genesis of Genesis Guild, who asks, what do you think will be the bigger source of drama in Ashes of Creation? Guild-to-guild disputes or node-to-node disputes? Cash, what do you think about that?
Another good question. I truly think that guild to guild is probably going to be the biggest thing, because guild to guild is going to be a little bit more personal. And I think there'll just be greater access for guild to guild, because there might be multiple guilds vying over a node, and a node will provide enough space for your guild to be, to kind of run that node. But if you have another guild that also wants into that node, then that's where the friction can take place. You can be self-sufficient within a node as one guild, but if another guild wants it, then that's where I think those larger guilds are going to be vying over those more geographically desirable spots from the question that we were talking about earlier. So yeah, my answer is 100% guild to guild.
Makes sense. And Bergund.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that, Kash, and I love that we have our first disagreement, because I think that the node-to-node disputes are very unique to Ashes of Creation, in that is kind of the keystone of the entire design. Guild-to-guild drama is going to happen in any MMO, and I would say that node-to-node drama umbrellas guild-to-guild disputes. I would say that node-to-node disputes are going to involve resources, it's going to involve crafting stations, it's going to involve node numbers and populations and interests. It's going to involve the dungeons that are around that area, but it will also involve guild versus guild disputes, whether those two guilds are in the nodes or those two guilds are neighbors or distant neighbors or across the map. The node-to-node disputes will be integral to the game to the design of the game with the vassal systems, and so who can outdo the other in leveling up to be a better vassal within the vassal network of one vassal system. I could go on for the reasons why I think node-to-node disputes are vast and massive and are hard to ignore when considering the design of Ashes of Creation.
Well said.
Story.
Yeah, I think it's kind of pivot off of that. I think it really just depends on where your kind of focus is within the game. And the reason I say that is because, like, somebody who's maybe not necessarily steeped in all the guild drama doesn't necessarily kind of know what all the inner workings of that guild drama is going on. And we've seen that in a lot of games where, you have the alt discords, and it's usually a lot of the the bigger or the more toxic guilds, because they can stay away from like heavy moderation and things like that. They go in all Discord. It's usually on a server basis. And what happens in those is a lot of the guild drama from that server is collected in there. And if you're in that space of being one of those guilds who just are actively in that server, whether you're just running you're spying on other guilds, or being just being able there to kind of combat that propaganda from other guilds. When you're in that kind of environment, the guild drama is more of a bigger source of drama, because you're not necessarily as steeped in the node to node thing. Outside of like, oh, this guy usurped a mayor across the world, that really doesn't affect me. I don't care about that. I think that for those type of players, that's what causes the bigger source of drama. But then in a setting of like maybe a medium-sized guild or a smaller-sized guild or a group of friends playing, they're not necessarily a part of that world. They're not really steeped into that like interpersonal guild drama. And so things like the node drama impacts them more. Things like, hey, this mayor just got stolen out, or hey, this group of people are bidding up the economic node so that they can get a little bit more they can cause more more disruption within that node. And I think that affects those type of players.
Josie?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of going to be like a little bit counter to everyone. I think they kind of both play relatively equal in Ashes, because you're going to have guilds that will inevitably, be drama. And then you're going to have guilds that play a major role in node wars and nodes in general. And then those guilds are going to have disputes. They're going to have alliances within nodes. So if you piss off one guild inevitably, or one other node, then you might be pissing off a whole alliance of guilds that are all attached to that node. So I really think they're going to kind of piggyback off of each other. So there's going... And the way they've built Ashes, nodes are so central to the game. And having a community and having a guild is central to the game in a lot of ways. It's a hard game to, if you want to try to solo anything. So I think, they're really going to work off of each other in that aspect. And you're going to have communities that, get up in arms first, maybe over a node or in their guild, and then it will go, vice versa. It will affect or infect the community from there. So yeah, I kind of think it's like they're kind of on equal footing. I guess guilds might be like the upper hand here, but they're pretty close in my opinion.
Plenty of opportunities for drama.
Yeah, go for it for a tick.
Nope, that was it.
Nope, that was it. Go ahead, Anduin.
So I think that it really depends on the systems, like, for example, we just recently saw the live stream about node wars, right? We've been watching podcasts, we've been watching everybody's talk about it. I think a big thing about the node wars is, what does the victor get out of it? Are you impacting the gameplay of another player? Because I'm going to be honest, I might dislike another guild, but because my node loses a war because another node declared whatever thing on it, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to probably have a vendetta against that guild or that node for either, I don't know, destroying my node so I lose my house I worked on, or maybe locking me out of content because their citizens get buffs based on various different things in the world. So they could get resources, they could get XP buffs, all these different things. So for me personally, while guild drama is guild drama between guilds, node actually will impact my gameplay and could potentially hinder me from doing the content I love because I can't get to it because it got locked out because of node conflicts. So that's why I think the drama will happen from that, because PvEers will want to PvE, PvPers are going to want to PvP, and that's just how it's going to get forced with that. So
Jamie?
I honestly feel like this could be looked at a lot of different ways, because it could be guild to guild, guild to node, node to node. I think it really is going to come down to who's being the most competitive. I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the drama come between. So if you have a node that is very competitive against other nodes, you're going to see drama there. If you have really competitive guilds, I mean, you could have a guild that has a node locked down. So I think kind of have to look at this question a little bit differently of who's within those spaces, because if you have a guild that's completely locked down the node and they're going back and forth trying to siege all these other nodes to, you know, keep them oppressed or trying to stop them from unlocking certain content, like it's now guild versus whoever. So I really think it depends on who's going to be the most competitive in that environment. And you could have a group of people who are only affiliated by node who get very competitive against other nodes. And I feel like that's where you start seeing a lot of that friction and drama.
Does Revas?
I don't think there's a definitive answer for that. I'm gonna go with Jamie, and then basically every situation is gonna be different. Drama's gonna happen between guilds a lot. Drama's gonna happen between the nodes a lot. I mean, it depends on where you're situated, what your goals are, and what your node is doing, or what your guild is facilitating for that node, or vice versa. I don't think there is going to be a bigger source.
Yeah, that's fair. I would also like to just remind everybody, I'm going to give you just a little bit more time because I forgot to mention it previously. You have a little bit of time to get your questions in while we do like one question. To go back, DA, you had asked earlier about guild sizing, and I think we prefaced this at the very beginning on our ideas of it being small being 0 to 50, medium 51 to 150, and large 150 to 300. Could you restate your question, please?
My question was just what does everybody consider small, medium, and large guild sizes? Because I think that's something that people have varying degrees on, and it's really interesting to see what people coming from different games, what people consider small, medium. And I was just prefacing that in the chat. I seen there was a little bit of a distance between some people saying like under 50, and a lot of people were saying a small guild started anything under 100. So it's just interesting and interested on you guys' take and some of the chat's take on that as well.
Yeah,
this is open. I'll let this be open.
I would say right along the lines of what Anduin was talking about earlier. Anything from up to 100 would be small in my opinion. 100 to 200 would be medium, and then 200 to 300 would probably be a larger guild for me.
I think
I kind of agree with that. Oh, go ahead.
I kind of think actually this game gives a different dynamic for that. Whatever the smallest, the largest amount for getting all of your perks together in a guild, spending all of your points and perks, that's a small guild. So whether that's 30 as it is right now, or 50, or whatever that is, that's a small guild. Then going up to 100, 150, that's like more like a medium guild, and anything above that would be a large guild.
Okay.
I mean, my take is that I think the minimum right now is 50. As you create a guild in Ashes of Creation, which isn't an immediate thing. I think you need a certain number of things, if I had to imagine. But the idea of the max being 300, so 50 to 300, there is no hard cap on what small means. So my definition would probably be 50 to 120 or somewhere in there is pretty small. And I would say up 120 is a soft cap, but give or take 20 there, and then you've got 150 to 300 being medium to large with the soft cap in that middle ground. But I think that's the rough estimate on what those terms mean.
Yeah, for me, numbers wise, I kind of tend to agree lean a little bit more towards that. Like for considering how many people you're going to have online and active throughout the day, because like not every one of those people are going to be online at the same time. But I think I would say like going small for me would be upwards of like 150-ish, and then medium kind of starting in that 151 to 200 for a guild size.
And the other thing it doesn't really address, just real quick, the other thing it doesn't really address is the fact that even if you are a guild of 75, 100, or 300, those guild alliances, if you're all one guild, those guild alliances are going to put you into that large guild category.
So
For
that's,
sure.
that's kind of a question I have, though. So, like, for example, Des, you were talking about creating basically an alliance of your own guild with smaller sections. What are your, this is to go kind of off of this, but what are your thoughts on how that will impact you on PvP if there's alliance versus alliance type things?
That is a good question, especially with one section being dedicated gameplay loop of PvP. But I don't know. I guess just the perks are going to be where it comes in, if those are good.
Yeah, I think the mechanics of the game and how the devs have just designed it are really going to determine a lot of the actual size, you know, because like Des says, with like the perks that smaller guilds will have, you know, when those kind of transition out is when you're probably going to see, you know, a community being deemed a larger or medium-sized community as well. But like it's been said too, the big number isn't like, okay, we've got 300 people in my guild. It's how many people do you regularly have logging in who are active and stuff? Because I'm sure a lot of communities are going to, you know, like GH, we're going to be continually doing roll calls and trimming people back. So we might be going from small to medium regularly if we have a lot of people that end up dropping off, because we're not going to keep numbers that would hinder us, because, you know, like Des said too, with the perks and everything, we definitely don't want to have more numbers that would take away perks from us or put us in a bad position, especially if a lot of those people become inactive. So something to consider.
So that's why one of the reasons why I need to see the system before I make a lot of judgment calls. I need to see what that kind of sweet spot is between getting perks and having member size, and then if it makes sense to then break up into sister guilds underneath a different alliance. So I think there are a lot of unanswered things that it makes it difficult to know what, you know, is 300 and no perks worth that, or how many perks are you getting and what are the perks? Because if there's anything that's going to give you a PvE or a PvP advantage where you're getting like a, you know, plus 10% damage increase because you only have 30 members, that's a massive perk. So it really comes down to where's that sweet spot, and are you willing to trade out being a Zerg ball versus having this really dedicated strike force when you're going to do all this content?
I mean, what was that perk we got in the AMA that Steven was giving an example for? Every 30 seconds, ignore a spell? What?
Yeah.
That's huge.
That is.
Yeah. And I think... Go ahead.
Just real quick, that is a question that I've heard quite a bit on streams and in a lot of content creator spaces is that going to be an inherent problem where you have guilds that decide to go with the smaller numbers just so they can maximize the guild perks and then have several sister guilds? And I think the answer that we've got from Steven is that sounds like a strategy. And I love that answer because it is a strategy. They don't plan to combat those kinds of things. And for us at LoreForge and with Black Talon, we considered that before we actually launched our guild and decided to go with a larger, 300-person cap guild. We decided to do that as opposed to splitting, because we have three branches, right? So we decided to, instead of splitting 3 branches, we would just keep everything in-house and then just internally split it to 100, 100, and 100 for our PvE, PvP, and our crafters. And the reason we did that, personally, the reason we did that was to keep our guild leadership together as opposed to splintering our guild leadership.
I think something that, big question that all of us have to ask, because we're all guild leaders here, is, what is the point of an alliance? Is it the idea that you can have multiple of your own guild? Are there mechanics in it that if, let's say I align myself with you, Kash, and our guild, you have a full guild, I have a full guild, are we running onto the field with 300 people or with 600 people? Or does that deter it? Is that not a benefit? You know, like I really would like to see if the alliances are just, here's another chat box for you that you can talk to these people and you don't go to war with each other, or if there's actually some mechanics in the game that encourage you to specialize your alliance to go, maybe one of your guilds is your large cannon fodder guild in it, and then the others might be more specialized guilds that can focus on different things. I think that really is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
Sorry. No. Sorry.
I was just you're good. I was just gonna say I think inevitably larger guilds are gonna just break down and specialize based on the focus on that of those players are in that guild. They're gonna choose the best perks to kind of min max those perks as far as the guild. And then I think what you said is right about like what does an alliance mean is gonna come into play, because do I put all 4 of my guilds into one alliance so that we can have that cross communication and it's easier for our members to have that organization and communication, or do I have different alliances based on different goals? My larger groups are allied with some of smaller guilds, while my main, war PvP guild is allied with other guilds who are of the same focus. And I think that's going to add an interesting dynamic to that gameplay.
I think I want to touch on the benefits. So they plan to have quest lines specific for alliances, having like a shared chat, also having like your affiliation and gear that can be attained. So there are, I think there's also trade agreements. So there are already perks to having that. It's not just getting a chat. I don't know how many people are aware of that, but there are specific perks to going into Alliance.
There was another one that was mentioned. I don't know if it's still part of the plan, is being able to share a percentage of the perks that you buy in the other alliances.
Wait, that's a thing?
That was talked about a long time ago.
Oh.
So you would have you wouldn't have a full percentage, but you would have a piece of it. It wouldn't be the full effect. So like a 15% would be maybe knocked down to a 5.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd be sharing that across your family.
And voting here is closing in about a minute, so please get your votes in. The links are pinned above, and we will be sharing that to the guild leaders to discuss your questions. But this has been great so far. Thank you guys for being cordial with each other. I appreciate it.
No, you're all jerks.
Great time.
We beat each other
chat
up
with a bunch of
after.
people can end up getting chaotic and crazy.
That's
yeah.
Never seen that
That's
happen in the
why I
Ashes
asked.
community before. Never seen that before. But
Oh, we can get spicy. Anduin, we're going to war, buddy.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? I guess my perks will beat your perks. So
Yeah. Get your perks ready, buddy.
it's a war of perks. I love it.
All right. Sorry, it is officially closed. Wait, maybe. It ends in period, so I don't know. I guess it's
Ends in nowish. And there's at least one clear winner here.
Reason, yep.
All right.
I can go ahead and read that in.
Okay, and I will get it put in there.
So this is a question we asked on behalf of somebody else. I apologize, I did not get your name in there. But is there content you have no intention for your guild to participate in? Start with Kash.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that this might be a little bit of a speed run. We've had a little bit of a late start and everything, so we're holding people beyond the time that we originally told them. So we'll go with a minute and a half on these answers.
Free
Try and
chicken
burn
nuggets.
through them.
I can do that. I can do that easily. As we are an RPPVX guild, there is no challenge within the game that we do not want to at least attempt. I'm not going to boast on our success just yet. We'll see where that lands. But no, I think all aspects of the game is where Blacktown trading is headed.
Mm-hmm.
And Bergund?
Yeah, so being a full group of clerics, it's hard to imagine that there isn't any way for our group to provide our services to others in the game, so that any member of the Iron Coin could be called upon to do any and all content in the game. And so being a member of the Iron Coin, I think, has very little to zero limitations as far as what we will be able to accomplish, because our design is meant to encourage community engagement as go-to clerics that are good at their jobs.
Mm.
Yeah, for us, it's kind of the same. There's no content that we won't go after, that we won't attempt. I'm not to throw any slugs around here, but we're not as big into the RP scene, but we do have some members who like to do that on their spare time. I mean, we don't really knock them for that. If you ever catch me in a tavern and you're offering me an RP drink or something like that, and I've got some time, sure. I mean, I'll shoot the shit. I love it. I don't mind that type of gameplay. But yeah, we're gonna tackle everything that the game has to offer. So,
all right, Cersei.
Yeah, it's always been our goal for Gilded House to participate in all aspects of the game. PvP, RP, PvE, economy. We're going to have groups that are going to want to go raid caravans, participate in node wars, build up a node, get freeholds, like all aspects of the game we're definitely going to attempt. It's just a matter of, where interest with our members takes us. So how competitive or engaged we'll be in different aspects of the game will be determined on membership. And no, we won't actually be ERPing.
That's a great question.
Just slip that answer everyone's asking about.
Yeah, just slip it in there.
Can I go back on mine?
I would like 100%. I'm stating no ERP in GS. No energetic roleplay.
Oh
now,
my gosh. Okay.
We're doing everything else though. We're playing the game. We're gonna do all the things. I feel like it's a lot of PVX guilds in here, isn't it? I don't know. Jamie's laughing. He looks like he might be an energetic role player. So
depends on if they give me a brothel or not.
Fast forward, and the people will make it happen.
Oh my gosh.
Just wait for the Lion's Pride Inn. Just wait for it.
Oh God,
the Lion's.
Jamie.
Enveus is all about the ERP.
Jamie.
Yeah. I was gonna the brothel thing was gonna be my joke because it's mainly because I can't do that. It would work so well with the cartel vibe that we're going for. So Plandorf, make that happen for us. But no, I mean we're a PVX guild, and the whole reason I have a hard time when people ask me, what's the focus of the guild? Everything. Like that's what we want to do. So that's our philosophy. We want to touch everything in Ashes, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, fair enough. All the things.
Does Revas?
I'm going to be in concurrence on the no ERP in the RP space there. Yeah. Sorry, Kash. But I think the only thing that we don't really have a focus into is maybe taking a castle. We'll probably help some people get castles, but getting a castle of our own is not really something we're going to focus in at all.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else probably going to be involved.
That is fair. Speedrun question number 2, or?
Yeah, I'll leave that up to participants here. I know we had originally scheduled to basically be wrapping up right now, and if anyone's on a time schedule, we can absolutely move into letting everyone plug themselves and run away. If you'd like to do another speed round of the next question there, we could absolutely drop that in.
One more question. Go, go, go.
All right. From ShdwFlm, it says, how will your guild define success? I feel like that's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Or it could be an hour Oprah show.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No.
How this works out.
And doing no boxes.
I will
stop.
Bell.
I would like to remind you that you asked the most long-winded person from TheoryForge to be on the show. So
I asked TheoryForge to be on the show. I was sent the most long-winded person.
That's the package we received in the mail, okay? We can't help
Well,
what they
did not
shipped.
return to sender.
I promise I will make this brief. I think success for the guild can be measured in a few different ways. The first is personal successes. Everybody's going to have their own goals that they're going to want to accomplish, and they'll have their own little bullet points of things that they want to do in the game. Then for us specifically, there's our branch successes, which is also going to be another set of objectives and bullet points that we have for our PvE, PvP, roleplay, economy, politics, all that stuff. But overall, there's our guild successes. So the way that we'll measure that is going to be like the things that we're most really passionate about. And we've talked about it quite a bit, but we do want to run a node. We want to successfully run a node. When we know that might be that is going to be an ebb and flow for sure. But we do want to achieve that. We definitely want to get Sunny to Mayor. I think that's going to just be a great gameplay loop for him. It'll put him in his element because he's absolutely a politician. It'll be hilarious. But then there's other things that we want to hit, like raid bosses, learning mechanics and stuff like that. So it's a good question, but I think there's several more branches and objectives that go into measuring like the full success of a guild.
Yeah. So for the Iron Coin, success will really be when we have created our own currency with an effect on the server. Our intention is to, I don't know how many of you have seen John Wick or the series of John Wick, but there is ironically a coin that is used within that world where there is a respect put on this coin that is a tangible thing in their universe. It is not something that is fooled around with. It is something that has an effect on the community at large. Whether it's you have a coin, you have an iron coin. How did you get that? That means that I have to be considering that you have the ties to an all-cleric group of players that could number up to 120 if all goes to that kind of, if we get that kind of attention. And so the idea is that we are creating an internal currency in the game that we are trying to spread to influence the server to a distinct aspect. And so success will essentially be defined by once a player in the game that we individually, each of our members will be getting an iron coin, and it will be something that will represent the entirety of the guild. And so success will be marked by that coin having an effect on that player that receives our coin, or the overall passive effect on other groups of people understanding who has the coin. So we will be dispersing that information as far as who has coins and who does not, and who may be the target of a coin's decree. And so that is a passive mark of success, but there's a lot that comes along with that that aspect of gameplay.
Yeah.
So for us, we really measure success about based on like the goals that we set for ourselves, and are we achieving those goals? Are we being efficient in achieving those goals? And making sure that we are always progressing, always improving our gameplay or our characters, things like that. Success for us, like I said, it's just really about the goals we achieve, we're setting, how we go about achieving them, and are we sufficient on those. Having a healthy node, having ownership of a castle is one of the goals that we obviously plan to set. Things like just being major pressure on defending our node from poachers or anybody trying to cause disruption within that, as well as protecting the people who are providing materials or anything like that to the node. But yeah, our success is really just defined on just like the goals that we set for ourselves, and are we doing the best to achieve those efficiently, and are we succeeding?
Darcy?
Yeah. Sorry, my dog decides now he wants to bark. Success is kind of a trend. What we look for, it's engagement. It's one thing. The dog is like, it's my turn to talk. Give me a second. So engagement is really important because, as we've said before, you could have 100 people, but if you don't have 100 engaged people, active people, you don't really have 100 people. So what we're looking at GH is making sure that we have people who are engaged, not just in role play, but also, in the game, in the gameplay, community building. And by default, that's going to be a mark of our success. Because if we have an engaged community, it increases our chances of attaining a guild freehold, or becoming a partner in a node, or claiming a castle, or having members that are higher ranked in PvP, or are we having a strong economy? And it will all come down to having that active and engaged membership. There's lots of, as others have said, like different goals you can have and everything like that. But it really comes down to having the members there, the people that are logging in every day, to kind of support those goals and support, the success that your community will have. So for us, that's the most important part, is having that engaged community.
So do I begin my filibuster now, or start time with the manifesto?
All right, I actually set up a timer specifically for you, sir.
Sounds good. Okay. So I think the big thing is, like, GS has our 3 founding principles, which is like everything. This is about our how we measure success. One is equality amongst members. We want every member to feel valued. I get a smile on my face every time I have a member come up and talk about like how much they like the community and stuff like that. Guild leading is a thankless job, but sometimes you are thanked, and it feels really great. So I like to see members that like being there. The emphasis on building that online family is huge. Seeing people log in time and time again and ask what can they do to help other people. People going out of their way to help, honestly, complete strangers. And then obviously that competitive yet fun. It's important to state that we want to go out, we want to compete in the highest amount of content we can, whether it's going after a castle, whether it's involved in sieges, raiding, killing world bosses, what have you. I just kind of measure my success based on whatever is our highest tier of ability. If we can accomplish those things, that's success to me. If people can have fun, if they want to log on, if they want to be part of the community, that's everything to me. So, yeah, that's all. I'll end before the beep.
I think for me, success is measured by milestones, because I'm always wanting to move that goalpost. So I don't really have anything that's clearly defined what success is, because I kind of want to move into accomplishing whatever goal we're focused on at a time. I'm not one of those people who really thinks like that far ahead. I just look at what's in front of us, what do we need to get there, and then once we get there, what's the next plan. So I plan on running the guild the same way, because if I'm like, oh, we're going to be the guild that first gets a castle, and we don't do that, it makes you look, going to make us look like an idiot. So it's kind of just looking at those things of where do we want to go, how do we get there, and then what do we need, and then measuring success based off of hitting those milestones and looking at what we learned to accomplish that, what we need to do better, and then making sure that we're actively progressing and always improving.
Yeah.
Jamie, we keep on like having the same talking points here.
Twinsies.
Yep.
You're muted, Des.
Maybe the orcs can be friends with the elves.
Jesus.
I'll try to stop the genocide.
Is that success? Is
Okay.
the elf war is success to you?
Apparently.
So success for us is when our guild family is having fun and they're motivated to jump back into the adventure with us for our common purpose. It's also, are we building community and strengthening our region? Are we making it better for the players around us? That's simple.
That I think wraps up the first part. Before we get to the closing statement, I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining us. This is only part 1 of our guild summit. We have a part 2 later tonight. It is in the description of the YouTube video that will be live pretty much immediately after. But there is the link for part 2 later tonight. around 8 p.m. Eastern time, and we would like our guilds to go ahead and give their final closing statements as well as any plugs. And we've also updated the doc to include a couple of extra links, so be sure to go back and check out all of the wonderful guilds that have joined us for today's sessions.
I guess I'll start it off. Yeah, I just want to echo that and just say thanks to everybody for being here. It was what a wonderful turnout and what a wonderful job that the Golden Feather does in putting these events on. There's so much work behind the scenes that you might not see if you're in chat. But we definitely saw it, and they're professional through and through. So thank you guys for that. So again, I am Kash. I'm one of 3 GMs for the Black Talon Trading Company. We are an RP PVX guild. And we are surrounded by all of the love at TheoryForge, our content creation team, where we create weekly content and have a weekly video podcast for Ashes of Creation. Any of our stuff, all of our stuff, you can find at loreforged.com.
Yeah, I think every one of us will probably mirror this in some way, but thank you so much, GB and Vertec. The Golden Feather Tavern shines brightly today, and that is mainly due to the wonderful groups of people that you have gathered. Everyone in this room, I think I've looked up to all of you and your work that you've done over the years. You are not missed. I see all of you, and I appreciate being in the same room with all of you to share a beer or what have you. Yeah, I am Bergund of the Iron Coin. I am the Grand Minister, if you will, or the GM. We are an all-cleric, dwarf, and orc group of players. Cleric being mandatory as your primary class. So with that comes an incredible experience that we are intending to provide not only for our players in the guild, but also to the server that we happen to find ourselves being a part of. It is a sacrifice, it is a risk, it is all for the enjoyment of the game, and I believe that what we are creating will open the door for an incredible experience, and I can't wait to share it with anyone who happens to be a part of it. Yeah, thanks again for having me. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
As others said, thank you, Chibi and Vertec, for having me here, having all of us here. You guys, for those of you in chat, they did a phenomenal amount of work behind the scenes. We love the professionalism, love being on all of the shows, and just every time I see you guys in game or wherever we may be, it's always just fun to chat with you guys. So I just really want to thank you just for having us and doing these type of events for the community, especially as we move on to Alpha 2. Just to give an outro, my name is DA. You can find me in the Enveus Discord, discord.gg/Enveus, or you can just type it into the search bar. We are a PVX guild for Ashes of Creation, and we are excited to get in and compete at the highest levels for every event that Ashes brings to us. We are always recruiting people who are interested in kind of taking the game to the next step, the next level, who are always interested in improving themselves, their gameplay, their characters, and whatnot. And we welcome everyone to the game, because I can't wait for you guys to all kind of see what Intrepid has in store for you guys, not only in Alpha 2, but leading into launch.
Absolutely. Cersei?
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off everyone. Big thank you to Chibi and Vertec for hosting this summit. It's great to see all these people together. I'm excited for this evening's follow-up summit and also future summits in the future. I think it's awesome to see our community come together like this. I am Cersei Kimura with the Gilded House Roleplay. We are a PVX heavy storytelling and content creation community. We game, roleplay, hang out together. We host monthly meetings to discuss Ashes of Creation, roleplay stories, and the games we're playing. We host live roleplay events each month, which follow along with our guild stories. We actually just had a major roleplay event last month that was a wedding and then like a bloody reception. So we have a lot of fun things going all the time. We've also got a very active YouTube channel, which is run by my roleplay officer, Nahili Marunji. He does lots of original music and content, so definitely check us out at Gilded House RP. And yeah, we also started Twitch, so we'll be streaming games on there. Looking forward to Alpha 2. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I have to say, it's been very fun role-playing with you guys. So it's been
love
thank you for having me in your community.
Can't wait for more.
Yay. And do it?
Yeah, you know, I know you and Vertec have been stressed out to the max getting this thing to put together. So I really do appreciate all the hard work you guys put into this. You know, you can really tell that you have a lot of heart when it comes to the Ashes creation community. And, you know, it's better having you guys in it. So thank you guys for that. For those of you who apparently don't know yet, I'm Anduin Kayvon of the Grey Sentinels. You know, if you're looking for a guild that does, you know, PVX, looking to do PvP, raid, get into economics, you know, while also telling kick-ass stories, you know, this is the place to be. If you want to have the ability to actually not only talk about killing dragons, but actually go out and kill dragons, GS is your home. I'd like to do a little shout out for a future podcast that Lloyd and I will be doing. It's the Ashes of the Grey, and it's going to be at July 7th at 8 p.m. EST. So if you guys are interested in listening to me and Lloyd banter about stupid stuff in the game and, you know, building up, you know, some more hype around Ashes or Alpha 2, come check us out. So look us up at Grey Sentinels on Twitch. So we'll see ya.
Jamie.
I just want to thank you guys for hosting all of us. It's a ton of fun. You guys do so much great stuff for the community and for even like for content creators that are new to the scene, inviting everybody in. You guys have such a warm and welcome presence, and I just commend you guys on that because you guys do so much for the Ashes community. I also want to thank all the other guild leaders here. It's been awesome really hearing from how much of us are focused on that PVX. Like that's something that's really nice to hear. I think a lot of us have a lot of the same thoughts and opinions. There might be some differences in there, but I'm looking forward to getting in the game with you guys. So I'm Jamie Chaos, one half of the Chaos and Lace Cartel. Annie and I both run that together, although it's kind of more of like a council thing. So there's a bit more going on there. Our focus is going to be on PVX and getting, doing everything within Ashes. Right now it's an open enrollment. So we are allowing a lot of community members in to come in, test with us with Alpha 2 and all that stuff. As we get closer to launch, a lot of that stuff will start to whittle down, and then potentially shift that community into its own guild while we have more of our core members there. So if you guys are interested in checking out our guild or just want to hang out in our community, you can find me at Jamie Chaos pretty much everywhere. I know the link to the guild Discord's in there. But yeah, you come to community Discord, the guild Discord, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Hey.
I have to commend you guys for bringing this together. I know exactly how it is pulling a bunch of guild leaders to try and do something collaborative. It is headache, and you're doing amazing. Thank you for pulling this off, and for the future one that's coming later on tonight. I am Des Revas Skyborn of the Revas Order. We are the PVX guild, all Elven. If you want Elven things, come to us. If you want to be part of the community and build our area, like wherever we go, if you want to be very involved in what's going on and be a known factor there, Revas Order.
Very awesome. And also, we could not have done this Guild Summit without all of you joining us, either in chat or the guild leaders that are here with us in voice. It has been an exciting thing. Vertec and I actually considered doing a summit earlier in the year or end of last year, and now it's actually happening, and I'm just so excited for it. So I will hand it off to Vertec from here.
Yeah, I want to give a special thank you to this group of guild leaders because you are the trial case for this new setup we're doing, the new format and everything, and the whole new overlay like creation that we did and a couple new features. So we had to stumble at the beginning. Apologies for that. Thank you for rolling with it. You guys are great. Thank you again for hanging out here. Thank you for spending your time with us and giving all these lovely people in chat information about your guilds. You're all treasures in the community as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. And if you want more We have a part 2 for you later tonight with
do.
not so roleplay-esque guilds.
What do you mean? Thogly's there.
Right.
That is not so. There's a couple there. It's kind of inverse. We have like a couple non-RPers in this one, and we have a couple RPers in that one.
You better watch out. He has a short temper.
Uh-oh.
Roll.
Let's see if he can stand up to the occasion.
Oh my gosh. All right, before with the short jokes come rolling in. Thank you, everybody. If you liked this kind of content, please give us a like and follow, and your support makes it so that we are able to do more of this stuff and dedicate our entire Saturday to you.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
I was just like, consider giving us a like, a subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to see us when we post or go live. End of spiel.
And as always, thank you for your time, everybody in chat. Thank you for everything you do for us, just chatting, getting involved, and hanging out. It's much appreciated. We would not be here without you. Everyone, do please try to have yourselves a great day, and we'll see you later, I hope. Hopefully we'll see you all later. We are going to now raid over, since there's nobody in the Ashes category, I do believe. At least I did not see anybody last I looked.
Double checking. Nope. But I've got Turgo lined up.
So we have Turgo. We're going to be raiding over to Turgo. He is a content creator that's going to be jumping full tilt into Ashes stuff when it comes around, or at least half tilt anyway. So yeah, hope you enjoy him. Check him out. You folks have yourselves a great day, and we will catch you next time.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Gilded House. I appreciate that. And all the other guys.
Thank you.
Super appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody take care. Bye.
See you later.